Hello and welcome into the stream. For everybody tuning in on YouTube, I very much so appreciate you for being here. If you're new to the stream, let me quickly tell you what we do. We debate Trump supporters. We try to change their minds, get them from the pro-Trump side of history to the anti-Trump side of history, because any reasonable person should not support the unreasonability, the pain, horror, and terror that we see either being promoted, being caused, or being introduced by the Trump administration. They are by far the worst administration, and Donald Trump is serving as the worst president of my lifetime and yours. Now, of course, there are still yet many Americans that disagree with that claim. So that's why we hop on here every day. We have these debates. We have these discussions, not just to try to change the mind of whomever I'm speaking to in the moment, but also to better equip maybe some of the anti-Trumpers watching from home with really good talking points and reasons why he sucks, so you can maybe convince some of the MAGA friends or family members in your own life. But something else that we do every day is we report the breaking news. And today's breaking news is nuts. Let's get into it. Dr. Rayner was Dick Cheney's personal medical examiner when Dick Cheney was serving as vice president. If you don't know who Dick Cheney is, not only is he was a former Republican vice president, but like one of the worst ever, okay? He was a complete warmonger. He personally profited off of, us going into the Middle East where millions of lives were lost. He was invested inside of so many different missile and ammunitions companies. I mean, just total, complete, conservative, shill, loser, doesn't care about life. No one fucks with Dick Cheney. Big thumbs down to Dick Cheney. Okay. But his doctor, Dr. Rayner, a top Republican doctor, is now calling on Congress, demanding that they launch an investigation into Donald Trump for his own mental acuity and his ability to serve and reasonably execute upon the duties of the executive branch of our government. We now have top Republicans waking up, seeing the light, and realizing that this wall of inevitability built around the perfection, quote unquote, of Trump is a big sham. And now they're demanding that he be invaded. We'll get onto that word in a little bit. Investigated. And this is coming as Donald Trump has reamped this intention and potential plan of an invasion against Greenland, sending Norway a letter saying that he may just kind of disregard peace because he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. Of course he's mentally unwell. Of course he's not fit to serve. If he's over here saying that because he didn't get a fucking peace prize, we're now going to invade one of our allies. And just to make things worse, his defense that he listed in the letter, and of course that we've been hearing for the last couple weeks here, is the reason why we need to get Greenland is to prevent the threat of an invasion of Greenland at the hand of Russia or China. But less than 4 hours ago, Donald Trump went on his Truth Social and he posted a screenshot of a tweet that reads that the real enemy, the real boogeyman's not Russia, not China, but rather the UN and NATO. So not only is this completely incoherent because the US is a founding member of both the UN and NATO, but it's also completely contradictory and incoherent to his previous suggestions of this enemy of Russia and China that are going to take over Greenland, building this threat of imminence that we need to do it first. So, I mean, he's just contradicting himself. He's an ideological mess. And I mean, I think that this amounts to a certain certification of the claim made by Dr. Rayner, this top Republican doctor, that he needs to be investigated and potentially removed from office under the 25th Amendment. And it's so cool to finally start seeing Republicans wake up for this. But of course, the Republicans that we're going to be talking to on this stream are those that haven't, still kind of live in that cult, are overcome by the misinformation of the Trump administration. So while Trump's brain is actively deteriorating in front of our own eyes, let's go ahead and hop into those debates. We already have our very first Trump supporter of the day, Stella, loaded in and connected to the live. Now, I'm not going to lie, folks. Stella's, I don't know. I really hope that they're being honest about their political opinions. I guess it's yet to determine. We don't know if they're really a troll or not. But Stella, if you want to unmute and tell us why the hell you support Trump as president, the mic and the floor are yours.
So real quick, I'm not a troll, I'm actually trans. Anyway, besides when I support Trump because of deportation policy,
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat what you just said?
The first part, or why I support Trump?
Yeah, the first part. I didn't hear you.
I said, no, I'm not a troll, I'm an actual trans woman, but that's besides the point. The point is I support Trump for his deportation policy, and he's one of the least racist people. Like Kamala Harris is racist, so I couldn't vote for her anyway. Jill Stein, she lost her mind. I don't know who else on the ballot. So there was basically one option.
So, Stella, do you promise that you're not trolling?
I promise I'm not trolling.
Okay,
If I was gonna,
so Stella, you are a trans woman who
hmm
voted for Trump because he's quote unquote one of the least racist people.
I mean, yeah, he got an award with Rosa Parks. I get it wasn't for like a
Holy
race award,
cow.
but if you were racist, you wouldn't have got the award.
Holy cow. Okay. Wow. Well, I don't even know where to start. Okay. Maybe let's first start with your claim that he's one of the least racist people. That's like
hmm
obviously not the case. That is completely false. Okay. In the 1970s, the New York State Justice Department investigated and then sued him and his father for literally refusing to rent to black people. They even had testers go into their properties. They had white people go in and ask if there's available units. The property manager said yes. Then they had a black person go in immediately after and ask if there's any available units. And then the property manager said no. And then even when they'd get a housing application from a black person, they'd put the letter C on it to represent the word colored. So then they'd later disregard it. And once the Justice Department got sufficient evidence for this, they then prosecuted and pursued a lawsuit against Trump for a violation of the Civil Rights Act. And then Trump settled with them outside of court. And a part of that settlement was to make publications in local newspapers saying that they would now start renting to black people. And then later, in a memoir written by Trump, he said that, oh, it wasn't about race. It was about poor people, and that he just didn't want poor people to be in his properties. And on top of that, then later in the 90s, he called all black people lazy in 1992, reaffirmed that something that he quote unquote probably said when a reporter asked him about it in 1997. He continued to call for the death penalty for the exonerated Central Park Five even after their exoneration. And now he's saying that you could tell if an immigrant is good or bad based upon the way they look. And he's emboldening ICE to detain and try to deport people on the basis of the color of their skin or the accent that they speak English in. Like today, we learned from a police department in Minnesota that their cops, while off duty, had been detained by ICE with no suspicion of being an undocumented immigrant. And quite frankly, every single person that was detained by ICE that was an off-duty officer was a person of color. And then when we are asking Trump what his thoughts and his feelings are on this, he says that they're not going hard enough. And he's enabling and emboldening the system to allow for such xenophobia and racism on top of his own history. So your claim there that he's the least racist person ever is just insanely false.
Well, point one is pattern recognition. Excuse me. So if you see a bunch of Hispanics coming here illegally, of course you're going to be like, "What?" When you see a
Okay,
Hispanic here, even if they're
I'm gonna ask
legal.
you to slow down and repeat that. Your mic is not too good.
Sorry, I said it's pattern recognition. So when you see a Hispanic coming here illegally in large groups, of course you're going to be weirded out when you see a bunch of Hispanics come here, even if they're legal. Not saying all Hispanics are bad because they're hardworking people, but it's pattern recognition. Second of all, you brought up him renting an apartment. He didn't want to rent to people on welfare because they like to trash things. They're ungrateful. Not all of them, but the majority.
So, in response to your first claim, wow, you are a bigoted fuck, Stella. Oh my God. So in response to your first claim, quote unquote pattern recognition, no, that's not true. What you're just referencing here is your own bigotry. Okay, so it's absolutely not the case that you could say that because a lot of undocumented immigrants are Hispanic, that therefore it is justified to detain an Hispanic or black individual, a person of color, with no reasonable suspicion of the claim that they're an undocumented immigrant simply because of the color of their skin. That is absolutely immoral. That's absolutely wrong. That's absolutely insane. Now, if we want to play this game of pattern recognition, well, then I guess we need just to go out in America and impose martial law and detain every single white man, okay? Because if we're looking at this pattern of school shooters, most of them seem to be white men. If we look at this pattern of the people incriminated by the Epstein files, most of them seem to be white men. And if we look at this pattern of the worst of the worst throughout history, okay, Hitler, so on and so forth, they seem to be white men too. So maybe we need to impose martial law and detain all white men under your view. Now, in response to that second point, where I brought up how Donald Trump refused to rent to black people in the 70s, and then you just brought up, oh no, it's about welfare because they're all lazy. So first and foremost, I want it to be clear that not all black people are on welfare. You can't look at a person and assume that they're poor because they're black. That's very racist, Stella. And then secondly, well, if it was about not meeting income eligibility or having a low income, okay, well then why did him and his property manager just straight up refuse to show open apartments to black people instead of getting their application, just like they'd get an application from a white person, and then they look at, their gross income over the course of the last 3 months to see if they would be able to make rent, so on and so forth. Like that is an accepted practice, okay, when it is done, blind to one's own race. That's something that every single tenant of every single property has to do for the most part, is they have to give the last 3 months of their pay stubs to the person that may inevitably be renting in that property so they can meet income and eligibility requirements. But that's simply not what Donald Trump and his father were doing. What you're describing is just mask off racism.
So I'm not a property manager. I'm not sure why he didn't look at their income and he just based it how we figured out they're on welfare. I'm not sure. But my other point was I never brought up. He was really racist. He wanted to stake his whole career supporting Michael Jackson, a black man.
So how did he support Michael Jackson?
Well, when the whole world was on the Michael Jackson's a PDF file and they was all ganging up on him, he literally was the only one defending Michael Jackson 10 toes down. Talking about this man's innocent. What y'all on?
I don't know. Maybe he had some other motivations because he was also best friends with Epstein. He's also publicly boasted about sexually exploiting naked women and naked girls. I mean, shit, a court held him liable for raping Eugene Carroll. He's hit on a 10-year-old girl before, said that he's going to be dating her in 10 years. He's hit on his own daughter too. Like, gee, I wonder maybe if he had any other motivations to be defending the benevolence of Michael Jackson.
I mean, one, Michael Jackson was not touching on nobody. And second of all, why are y'all so worried when it's Trump, but when it's Joe Biden, it's okay? When he touches on little girls or sniffs them or he's racist or homophobic, y'all just bring up Trump like y'all didn't vote for him.
Okay, well, if you want to know why I was still able to support Biden as president, right, it's because I could agree that he did have like a racist past and there's very racist things that he's done and said before. But at least when compared to Trump, A, it seems like Trump has done things that were more racist, and B, unlike Trump, Biden was at the bare minimum able to like hold himself accountable for his wrongdoings, acknowledge them for being racist in an attempt to apologize to the black community. But of course, Biden's not the person that I inevitably voted for in the 2024 election. I voted for a black woman, Kamala Harris. And just saying, but Biden is certainly not going to get yourself out of this, pickle you're in here, because it is the case that in all reality, you're the one, okay, that claims to care about the racism that riddles Biden's history. You're the one that claims to care about the wrongdoings that riddle Biden's history. But then you're the one that not just actively ignores all the racism and wrongdoings that Donald Trump is engaging in now and historically, but you're actually instead making the affirmative argument that he's not racist at all. That's hypocritical.
Okay, I have one point, then we can reel it back into Trump because I'm sorry, I don't like to pivot. You said you voted for a black woman, but you voted for Kamala Harris, an Indian. She's not black, she's Asian.
Yeah.
So let's not lie now.
Wow, I'm about to give you a third grade education. Hey, real quick, how many biological parents do you have?
I have 2 biological parents.
Okay, how many biological parents do I have?
Yeah, everybody has 2.
Yeah, there we go. Same thing with Kamala Harris, right? And what percentage of your genes do you get from your father, and what percentage of your genes do you get from your mother? Do you know?
I do not. But Candace Owens already proved she wasn't black, and that girl got nothing to lie about.
Okay, so
that's
one moment. That's the core. That's the core information that you're lacking here. Okay, so the reason why you're saying no, she's not black, she's Indian, is because you don't know that you get 50% of your genes from your dad and 50% of your genes from your mom. So I'm happy that I can help educate you on this point. So first and foremost, Indian's not a race; that's a nationality. That's like me saying that my race is American. The race would be like South Asian. But anyways, so because you get 50% of your genes from your biological father and 50% of your genes from your biological mother, it is the case that Kamala Harris is 50% black because her father's Afro-Jamaican. Black people got to Jamaica the same way black people got to America through the transatlantic slave trade. And then she's also 50% South Asian because, once again, her mother was from India. So she's both black and South Asian, or as you put it, black and Indian, simultaneously.
I mean, no, because there's other races in Jamaica, but...
Well, that's why I specified Afro-Jamaican. Okay.
But she has no African in her. First of all, a black woman would never admit to cooking greens in a bathtub.
One second. Yes, she does have African in her because her father was Afro-Jamaican. Like, let me ask you a question. Do African Americans have any African in them, quote unquote?
Well, it depends, because some of them was born here. If you're born here like 10 generations, that African in you's gone. It's been wiped away from all the people
So do you
from
think
your
that
bloodline.
do you think that 10th generation African Americans aren't truly black?
They are black, but they're not African. If they're born here and their parents were born here and their grandparents are born here, you're American.
Okay.
Because you ain't
Well,
never been to Africa, neither have your grandparents.
see, the thing is it's about ancestry. But let's just try to stick on the topic of black or not black. If you want to have a conversation with somebody about, what it means to possess the identity of being African, I would highly suggest that you talk to a handful of amazing black creators on this app, just to name a few off the top of my head: Covey, Santana, Jaden, or just to name three. Those would be great people who do lives every single day, who I love to see you have this conversation with. Okay, but anyways, just to go back to the conversation, can we agree that like even 10th generation African Americans would be black?
No. If they're in Africa, yes, and their grandparents have African DNA in them.
Wait, so is if your grandparents were from Africa, then you're black. But if your grandparents aren't from Africa, then you're not black.
No, you're either, well, you can be black and not be
So
African.
then what's their race?
What's their race? Their race would be a black American. It would
Okay,
be
so then they are
If you're
black.
born
Wait, one
here,
second. Americans, not a race. American is once again a nationality. So
an
so they would
American
be
can
black,
be
right?
race. So hold on, let me tell you something. If you go back 100 generations, everybody's from Africa. So are you African?
I'll answer your question after you answer mine. That's not
Okay.
typically the way in which we'd like use the word. Okay, because it has to
What
do
was your
more with
question?
tradition, family, and ancestry, not just going back to like the bread bowl of humanity, spanning from Africa. But please answer my question here. So, if like Kamala Harris's father, is he black?
No.
Okay, then what race is he?
What race is he? He's some dark-skinned Asian, last time I heard.
How could he be a dark-skinned Asian?
Because you get more melanin from where you're born in the world. That don't make you black if you're Asian.
But
Well, that
he
don't
was
make him African.
born
That would
in.
make him
So
black, but
he
not
was.
African.
Okay, so do you know how black people got to Jamaica?
Some of them got there through the slave trade. Some was probably born there.
So black people got to Jamaica through the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, and there's a direct lineage, okay, between Donald Harris, Kamala Harris's father, and the black individuals who were forced to Jamaica by the transatlantic slave trade. So why would you say that he's not black, considering that Donald Harris is a direct is the direct or has direct ancestors, okay, from the transatlantic slave trade, and then also, how can you say that he's like not black, considering that fact that he is and possesses that direct lineage from individuals that were sent to Jamaica through the transatlantic slave trade, and just the fact that he's black?
I'm just saying, Candace Owens went through her whole lineage and proved she wasn't black. She's trying to Rachel Dollars all y'all, and y'all fell for it.
Okay, so then
And
you're
why
just
does
so
she
you're just
never claim this
rejecting so you're
identity
just
before?
rejecting your eyes and ears. You're saying that black people like aren't in Jamaica, and you're being just
No,
completely
I
like
never said that.
stupid and unreal because Candace
So,
Owens
no,
told
I
you
never said that.
otherwise.
You need to correct yourself, little boy, when you're speaking to me.
I
said
think I
there is
think that
black
I'm
people in
I
Jamaica
think that I'm okay. So then why is Donald Harris not one of them?
because there's more than one race in Jamaica. I could be born in Jamaica.
Okay, but
That
what
don't
I'm
make me
asking you
black.
is, how do you know that Donald Harris is not one of the black people in Jamaica? In
Because his
Jamaica.
grandparents weren't black. Miss Barrow was not black. That's his grandmother. So he
Okay, so
said,
so Donald Trump, so it's Donald Harris is sorry, his parents weren't black. Could you prove that to me?
I mean, Candace Owens been proved it.
Okay, so then it should be really easy to get that evidence.
I mean, it is, but if I load my cell
So go
phone
get
to
that
this,
evidence.
my
No, go
device,
get that evidence, Stella. I fucking hate how hard you are trying just to invalidate a black woman's blackness so then you could use her own blackness against her. This is modern day
well, she's not
racism.
black.
This is modern day racism, right? You're just trying to find a new way to use a black person's blackness against them. So because you know it's like a taboo to call black people the N-word, because you know it's a taboo to say like, oh, black people shouldn't be in positions of power, because you know that all these things are like a taboo, because generally as a society we can agree that it's wrong to believe in those things, you're instead attempting to use a more covert approach by demonizing Kamala Harris predicated on on her blackness by saying that she's not truly black, even though you possess no evidence to yield that conclusion, just so you could then turn around and support an adjudicated rapist, just so you could then turn around and support a 34 count fraudster, just so you could then turn around and support the guy that's threatening an invasion against one of our allies. You're ideologically incoherent. Okay, you absolutely have no grounding for your beliefs whatsoever. Okay, and I just truly do hope that at some point in the future we're able to like grow and thrive in a society that does not include people like you because of the ideologies in which you so incoherently hold.
Well, I want Candace Owens as president. She's black. I never saw anyone a black person in power, especially a
But you
black
have no,
woman.
so you have absolutely no reason to reject Kamala Harris's blackness. You
I
have
do.
none at all.
The point is she's not black. You can look at her
But the point
ancestry.
is that
She
you have
just
no
figured out
evidence to
herself.
reject that whatsoever. I've asked you for the evidence that you're using to form your
The
conclusion.
evidence
I've
is she
told
went
you,
to
I've told
find
you that
black.
his father, Donald, I've told you that her father, Donald Harris, is Afro-Jamaican. I've told you that he is direct descendants of enslaved Africans sent to Jamaica by the transatlantic slave trade. And all you could say in response is no, 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 no. And of course, she left. So I didn't even need to kick her, contrary to what everyone down below in that chat is spamming, because she left. She ran away just because of how incredibly wrong she is. So we're going to go to get that next guest loaded up into the box right now. That was just insanity. Hey, Full Band, appreciate you so much for the $20 over on YouTube, who says, no smart person has ever cited Candace Owens on any topic. Quite honestly, Full Band, I got to agree with you. Did y'all see Candace Owens a handful of days ago saying that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler? Like, she like legitimately believed it. Absolute insanity. Also, for everybody in that,
she like legitimately believed.
also, for everybody in the TikTok chat, spam and check Discord. There was nothing for me to check on Discord. You guys have done that a couple times in the last couple days. I just thought I'd let you know that it's seemingly like more often than not, you guys aren't really giving me like any reason to check Discord. Like I'm looking over there and the people are in the chat just chilling. What's up, Ronald? Do you support Trump?
No, but I wouldn't say.
I gotta kick you guys. If you're in that queue, you have to be at least 18. You have to be an American, and you have to be MAGA. Follow the rules if you find yourself in that queue. And seriously, by the way, y'all, let's get 200 full band W's for the $20. Thank you so much. And then I'd also, like to very quickly thank Min. That is MINN. Thank you so much for the $50 over on YouTube Super Chat. Min, you are the absolute GOAT. Min with the $50 says, Trump literally trashed trans people in his press conference today. I have a trans daughter, and she's the kindest person I know. I worry about her every day. Yeah, we didn't even get onto that. That last guest was trans. Well, I wanted to talk about that with her too, but we didn't even get the chance because they were just baselessly rejecting that Kamala Harris was a black woman and dipped. Thank you for the $50 and shout out to you and your daughter. And then one more here over on Super Chat. Fucking hell, Link. Thank you so much for the 150 Australian dollars saying we love you, Dean, in all caps. Link. Thank you so much for this, for the unprecedented levels of love. You've been in here so many times, dropping so much love and support. I appreciate you to the goddamn moon and back. That is so much money, my friend. I want to see at least 2,000 Link W's down below in that chat where we're hopping into this next debate here. Seriously, bro, thank you so much. We also have a handful of people to thank over on PayPal and Venmo, but let's go and hop into that next debate for now, and I'm going to work y'all in. Seriously, I appreciate you guys for the kindness. What's up? Do you support Trump, Lucia? Lucia, I think I might have muted you. Nope, you're unmuted. I'm going to go to give you around 5 seconds to respond here.
No, I'm here, but kick me because I'm not MAGA and I'm not from America.
No worries. You take care. You take care. Let's go to move on to the next guest right now, folks. Hop inside of that queue of your MAGA, please. Make sure that you're following our rules. Make sure that you are following our rules. We got that next guest loaded up in here right now. Florian Stoker, I believe his name is. I don't know. I'm probably misreading it. It's whatever. It's whatever. We got them loading up in here right now. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Hello?
Hi. Do you support Trump?
Hi. No, I don't.
Okay, guys, you have to follow the rules or you're going to get banned. Please make sure that you're doing so. Please make sure that you're doing so we can try to keep up a productive stream. Okay, here. I'd really appreciate that. I truly would. And oh my God, this was the very first donation of the day over on Venmo. Kirby, thank you so much for the $100 donation on Venmo. Kirby, holy fuck, that is so kind of you. Kirby with the $100 on Venmo says, you voice what I can't, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Dean. Well, thank you so much, Kirby, for an incredibly, incredibly kind donation. $100 is a shit ton of money. I'm so appreciative of you. Thank you so much for the undeserved generosity. If we could please show some love to Link and Kirby in both of the live chats on TikTok and YT while we're still looking for that next Trump supporter. It absolutely means the world to me. Thank you so much, you guys, as well as Jessica. It's good to see you again today. Thank you for the $20 who says, hey, Dean, lovely to see you today. You too. You too, Jessica. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Let's get also 200 Jessica W's down below. And I'm just automatically going to kick that last guess because they had a very large echo on their mic. I thought it would be pretty unproductive for like linear dialogue. Hi, do you support Trump?
Yeah.
How old are you?
21.
How long do you think I'm going to believe that for?
2004 is my birthday.
Really, what month?
March 15th.
You cannot be 21 if you were born in March 15th of 2004.
I am, though. Do you want to see my ID?
There we go. I was expecting you to question yourself if you were a fetus. You absolutely can be 21 if you were born in March of 04. Take it away. Tell us why you're MAGA.
MAGA.
Hello? Are you still here?
Yeah. Can you tell us why you support Trump?
Because he keeps our country safe, and he keeps the illegal immigrants out of.
So is this like a 2v1? Well, we got to check this other guy's age too. How old are you?
Yeah.
21.
You're both 21.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm also 21. I guess we're all 21 here. So I'm gonna ask y'all to combine your brain cells. I guess let's just do a quick 2v1. Tell us all why you think that Trump is the best president of your life, or whatever. The hell
we didn't say the best. Definitely not the best.
Okay, why do you guys
keeps,
support Trump as president? Give me an argument.
Because he keeps illegal immigrants out of the U.S.
So he keeps undocumented immigrants out of the U.S. Okay, do you think that we should deport undocumented immigrants because they committed a crime and they deserve to be held accountable for it, or what's the argument there?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say. I believe that some illegal immigrants should stay low key sometimes.
Okay. Well, you already disagree with Trump. And in response to your friend who said that we should deport undocumented immigrants because they committed a crime and they deserve to be held accountable for it, well, I mean, if you think that just punishment for committing a victimless federal misdemeanor is being removed from the country, then what should just punishment be for Donald Trump's civil case where they concluded that he was guilty of raping E. Jean Carroll, or, you know, like the fact that he's publicly boasted about the sexual exploitation of women and girls to Howard Stern, or his 34 felonies, or now breaking and defying the Epstein-Files Transparency Act, a multiplicity of times arguing that there's not a court in America that could enforce it and hold them accountable for doing so.
Wait, hey, I got a question for you real quick. You've met with Charlie Kirk, right? You've like met him, right?
Yeah, I have met Charlie Kirk. Can I get a response to that last argument?
You're so fucking.
You got me there.
You're so fucking bad at arguing. That's it.
Yeah, I did get you there. I appreciate you two for coming up. Honestly, I'm just going to be honest. I think that it'd be significantly more advantageous for the two of you guys to maybe like watch this stream to see if I could convince you to change your mind by debating other people compared to being the one on the stream debating me. So let's go to get that next guest loaded up into the box right now, folks. We got a couple people to thank on PayPal. Miss Olivia.
Hola,
thank you
señor. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo?
I'm doing all right, man. How about yourself?
Good, bro.
Good. Do you support Trump?
Fuck Trump.
Base, dude. Moving on to the next guest. Hey, Olivia, seriously, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal, who says, thank you so much for always sticking up for teenage girls, which I am one. I go to school every day, scared every day, and I just wanna say thank you for everything that you do. Well, Olivia, that is incredibly, incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much for your very kind words and the $20 donation. It means the absolute world to me. If we could please show some love to Miss Olivia down below in that chat while we're getting the next Trump supporter up here to mean everything to me, as well as Alexander. Thank you for the $30, who says, would you ever go on Joe Rogan? I think you would jujitsu his brain into submission. I would love to have a conversation with Joe. I don't know if I'm like clouded enough. I think I need to get my clout up. Joe Rogan usually only has like massive guests on, but thank you so much for the $30, Alexander. Let's get 300 Alexander W's down below. What's going on? New guest, do you support Trump?
No, but please don't kick me. Please don't kick me. I want to say something.
Oh my God! Whoa, they were like 3. Oh my goodness. Please, get off your mother's phone. Please. Oh, wow. Hi, do you support Trump?
Yo, what's up, nigga?
An absolute zygote in the wild. And I am referring to the 3-year-old and that white man with the brain of a zygote out there screaming the N-word. Very embarrassing. Very terrible. Fucking hell. We have some weirdos in the live. Hi, Brett. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
How do you?
What?
What is your age?
What's my rage?
No, your age. A-G-E.
Oh,
Age.
21.
No. Are you in college? Do you work a job? Let's see. Let's check that age.
Yeah.
Which one?
In college.
Okay. So how many credit hours do you have to take per year to be on track to get a degree in 4 years?
I have no clue why.
Yeah, then I don't believe that you're in college. If you have absolutely no clue, I think that you're lying. Let's get that next guest, Kingston, loading up into the box. Wait, Kingston is 14. Listen, guys, MAGA is sending their best and brightest. Our queue is literally full of children. If you happen to be one of the nearly 18,000 people watching on TikTok, and you are an American adult that supports Trump, please, you guys, try to just show the world, okay? Because we have a lot of viewers, 18,000 over on TikTok. Let's see how many we have on YouTube. 4,000 on YouTube. Show the world. Show 22,000 people that MAGA is not just a complete embarrassment. Being supported
Trump looks like the
on
saggy part of my testicles.
Being supported boots on the ground by literally 12-year-olds. So proof to us all that there's some substance here. Amy, I see you in that comment section. Hop in that queue. Love to chat. Let's go ahead and get that next guest loaded up into the box right now. We got Tommy Drops connecting. And oh my God, dude, the Blood Ruby just sent a $200 super chat on YouTube.
Yeah.
Blood Ruby, thank you so much for your kindness. That is
You're a
insane.
bitch.
One second, Tommy. Dude, that is seriously insane, Blood Ruby. Oh my Jesus, thank you. Thank you so much for the undeserved generosity. That is nuts. Holy fuck, what is going on today? We've barely been live for 30 minutes and so many of y'all have shown so much love. The Blood Ruby with the $200 super chat says, I've always loved your content. Keep doing the good work and inspiring people. Oh, Blood Ruby, thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for the incredibly kind donation and the incredibly kind words. Please, 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 please. That is just so much love. If we could please have every single person watching the stream show some love to Ruby in the comment section, it would make my day. It'd make my day. Please show some love to Ruby down below while we're still trying to find that next Trump supporter. Huge, huge shout out to you, Ruby. Seriously, huge shout out to you. Hey, Aiden, age?
Okay, so I am actually 18.
Sorry, you sound British. It was just kind of like a reflex. Moving on to the next guest. Wow, we have nobody watching this live that supports Trump. Insane, may I add. Hello, do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
And how old are you? You're on pause. You left the app. You go to a calendar? Hi,
Wait, I'm 19 years old. Wait, sorry. I was getting a call.
Really? What year were you born in?
January 19th,
That's not a year.
2006.
Actually, no. Now it would be 2007.
What are you talking about? I was literally born in 2006.
No. If you're
Yes,
19
I was.
today,
I promise.
Born on January 19th. You would have been born January 19th of 2007.
I was born in 2006.
Get out of here. Moving on to the next guest. Because if you're born on January 19th of 2006, then you'd be 20. Maybe he doesn't know that, or maybe he's lying about his age. I'm gonna go for the idea that he's lying about his age, because that would imply that he would be lying. He wouldn't know that he had a birthday yesterday. Hi, do you support Trump? You have 5 seconds to respond, Donnie. Donnie's not here. All right, guys. Moving on to Northern Sun. Holy shit, guys. These guests are just, terrible today. Hi, do you support Trump?
Hey, man, yeah.
Okay, how old are you?
38.
Perfect, man. I am really not convinced that he'd be 19. So think about it. No, I'm not talking about you, because he said that he was born on January 19th of 2006. He would have turned 20 yesterday. Guys, just do the math, please. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. I'm going to thank 4 people that I'll pass that mic to you. First and foremost, Lola. Thank you so much for the $50 over on Super Chat on YouTube. Same thing with you, Wendy. Thank you so much for the $50. Huge shout out to Lola and Wendy in those chats. Seriously, both of you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. That is a shit ton of money. Thank y'all. Wendy didn't attach a message to her love. Good to see you, Wendy. Like I said, you're actually one of the top viewers on YouTube. My analytics told me that yesterday. Huge shout out to you. Let's get 500 Wendy W's and 500 Lola W's, who with the $50 says, sad day when Trump's social media posts have my international friends messaging me saying that they're quote unquote sad for Lola. You have a madman willing to leave America with no allies to be open to attack. Another day, I'm embarrassed to be an American and embarrassed by the press, dude. Lola, I cannot wait until I wake up in the morning being proud to be an American. But that shit is just impossible when we have somebody like Trump as president. Genuinely. Fucking genuinely, Erica. And then Lola. And then one last person here. Erica, thank you so much for the $100 on Venmo. Bro, Jesus Christ, you guys. Erica with the $100 on Venmo says, Dean, I still watch every day. I've still been organizing with Indivisible and just got my own town's dim committee. So much is thanks to your influence. Love you so much. Erica, I need to tell you a quick story. I remember you reaching out to me like literally a year ago at this point, saying that like I've helped to inspire you to get more politically active in your community. And then I remember you reaching out to me 6 months ago saying that you're starting to work with your local Indivisible chapter. And it's so cool to get an update that you're now like organizing with them and you just got in your town's Democratic community. I'm so fucking proud of you, Erica. Legitimately, I'm so fucking proud of you guys. Please show some love to Erica in that chat, not just for the $100 donation, but also just because of legitimately how proud of them I am. They've gotten so involved in their local community over the course of the last year. I'm fucking proud of you. Huge shout out to you, Erica. And Northern Sun, I'd appreciate you for waiting. If you want to take it away and tell us why the hell you support Trump, the mic and the floor are yours.
All right, man. I think it's just a little bit deeper than Trump, and I think you'll agree with some of this. I think fundamentally, man, conservatives and liberals in the West, especially United States and places like Canada, are just fundamentally different people. We're never going to understand each other's point of view. You're never going to convince someone like me that taking your minors to a drag queen story hour is ever going to be legit. I'm not going to go down that story right now with you. I'm just saying that's never going to happen with us, dude. And in some cases, even though Trump does some wild shit, I think conservatives and maybe Christians or nationalists or anybody on the right is just willing to put up with the shit more than they're willing to put up with anything that the left offers. You can see what the left did to Canada. Insane climate change policies destroyed their GDP and their competitiveness on the world stage. They have made programs where they unalive, where unaliving people was like one of the biggest. It was government unaliving. They have all sorts of unhinged leftist policies that just don't work. Yeah. Their Medicare system, their socialized Medicare. Anyways, I don't want to get into the weeds. It's just we're not the same.
Can I hop in here?
We're never going to believe the same shit.
Let me clarify for you. So my beliefs track truth. My beliefs track logic, and my beliefs track reason. So if you are a reasonable person...
Yeah, but they don't, though. You're wrong about transgenders. You were wrong about COVID and wearing masks. You were wrong about all that shit.
I let you speak. Are you going to let me speak? Unmute your mic. I don't want to have to mute you, okay? This isn't supposed to be a daycare. This is supposed to be a debate live. So unmute your mic. Go ahead and do that now. Click on your profile picture. Click on the icon on the microphone. Unmute that shit. Okay? So now that your mic is no longer muted and I'm no longer the one controlling your ability to speak, I want you yourself to control your own ability to speak. Have some impulse control and just allow me to finish speaking.
Okay,
here.
speak to me like an adult, bro, or I'll slap you the fuck out, man. Just talk to me like an adult.
Yeah, we got Mr. Tough Guy down here threatening to catch a charge because some dude on the internet put him in his place, bro. Sit down. Now I'm going to treat you like the fucking child you are, and I'm going to hit that mute button, okay? Because baby needs his binky. But anyways, to get back to what I was saying, I'm a reasonable person that tracks logic, truth, and fact. Oh, and there he goes. All right. Sounds good. By the way, apparently, according to some of the people in that chat, that guest is following children. You know what? He actually did say one thing that was very true. It's that me and him are never going to agree because he doesn't base the formation of his beliefs off of evidence, truth, and fact. He bases the formation of his beliefs off of the fact that he's a chud-maxing incel who's never got touched by anybody in his life. The last time he touched a woman is when his mother gave birth to him, but even then, she was probably a little repulsed. Yeah, and now he is, I don't know, maybe 35 years old, still living in that basement, spending his time on the internet, screaming at liberals just because we don't want an educated rapist to be president. So you're right, we are never going to agree. How about you, go outside, touch some grass. Get a fucking job, dude. I think your mom's got to getting tired of you, banging on the desk when you either lose a debate to Dean Withers on live or maybe, get KO'd in the first 5 seconds of a Fortnite match at 3 a.m. So let's go to move on to the next guest because that guy obviously had no emotional regulation whatsoever. Hi, do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Dude, cool. All right, take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
All right, I support Trump. All right, first of all, do you believe in God?
Well, yes, I do.
Do you respect him?
I respect my Lord and Savior.
Okay, do you believe in what Kamala said at her rally when she told people that this is not the place for God and tell them to go to the Trump rally?
Okay, well, that's certainly not true. She said that to literal...
Yeah, fuck the niggers and fuck you. Kill yourself, nigger.
Good Christian, by the way. Good Christian, by the way. By the way, okay, so I think that is clearly one of the many reasons why Donald Trump is still president and he still has some support from the people is because of people like the last two guests. The last two guests have given the nearly 25,000 people watching this stream a representation of the political minority that keeps people like Trump in power. It doesn't matter if he like threatens an invasion of one of our allies. It doesn't matter if he stops food stamps for 16 million children. It doesn't matter if he destroys our economy, our stock markets in collapse, and we have the highest level of unemployment in 5 years and the highest level of manufacturing bankruptcy in 20. Because as long as Donald Trump is a bigot, as long as Donald Trump says that you're a violent rapist, as long as you're an immigrant, as long as Donald Trump says, that, the woman who he raped should be thrown in jail, they're still going to support him, rooted within the hatred that fills their own hearts. And for all of the Christians in the chat, like I'm seeing a couple people in that chat going, W guess, W guess, W guess. Okay, well, people like that last guess are the reason why ultimately in the next 20 years, Islam is going to take over Christianity on the global stage, because so many people are repulsed by the Church of Christ because of the representations of said Church of Christ. Okay, it has nothing to do, with the gospel and preaching unity, love, and acceptance, as Jesus did even to the pharaohs that wanted to kill him, but it has more to do with the representation of people that will claim to act in accordance with the name of God, then turn around and say, unalive yourself inward, right? So I think that point needs to be made. And I also want to make one last point here real quick. I wouldn't suggest doing that if you're part of the right, because you are validating everything that the liberals have been screaming for years and years and years. Okay, you've heard me talk about. You've heard many people on the left talk about the existence of systemic racism. You've heard us talk about the prejudice held by so many people towards black and brown people. You've heard us talk about inequities and discrimination directed towards marginalized communities. And then the only response that the right has is, well, no, that's not systemic. No, I mean, we see the same things against white people, but then they turn around and they act in accordance with systemic racism, act in accordance with said prejudice, act in accordance with said oppression by, supporting somebody just because they don't like black and brown people, then calling anyone who disagrees with them, the N-word. So you're validating everything that the left has been saying. And in fact, you're just giving more reason for that average apolitical American watching the stream right now to stop agreeing with you and to start agreeing with me. Let's go and get that next guest loaded up into the box. Hi, do you support Trump? Are you here? I'm going to give you 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Cool. Are you a Trump supporter?
I'm here, bro. Yeah, sir.
Awesome, man. Cool. Are you going to be like the last couple guys and, scream slurs?
Absolutely not. First of all, black man. So that they do not represent my political ideology. Sorry, I'm having a tough time speaking. And then on top of that, I actually have respect for you. So I wouldn't even dare say that, because I think what you're doing is very impactful. And you've gotten me to think about some things, but I just don't think it's just good enough for me to move to that, to make the move to the left.
Cool, man. Well, let's try to have a good faith discussion. I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it. That's why I do what I do. Let me thank a couple people, then I'll pass you that mic, Ash. First and foremost.
Of course, brother.
Dude, Dean's brother, thank you so much for the $50 over on that YouTube super chat, who says, hey, did you see that the Necessary Conversation podcast shouted you out last week? By the way, my username is not about you, lol. I have not seen that, but that makes sense because a lot of people have been like bringing up the Necessary Conversation to me. So I'm gonna have to look into that. You should shoot me a link. But seriously, Dean's brother, hey, first and foremost, shout out to your brother. And then second of all, shout out to you. Thank you so much for the $50. So let's get 500 Dean's brother W's, as well as Carrot, thank you for the 12 euros. David, thank you for the $7 Canadian. And then Ruby, I appreciate you so much for joining that team. And then Alexandra, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo, who says, Minneapolis girl here listening to you the past few weeks has kept me sane. Please stay safe, Alexandra. Thank you for the $25. Let's get 300 Alexandra W's. Let's also get 100 Keely W's for the $10, who says, Dean, I need to know if you watched Heated Rivalry yet. I have not. I've not. And then let's see here. Let me see if we have anyone else real quick. We do. Shula, thank you so much for the $13 over on PayPal. Thank you so much, Shula. Let's get 100 Shula W's. And the Daphine, thank you for the 2. If you're watching and you're like, hey, I like this Dean guy, you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio, my TikTok account. Pinned message on that YT stream. Handles at the top of the phone screen. I get all of those proceeds. You could even attach a message that I'll try to read off on live. Ash, appreciate you for your patience. The mic and the floor are yours. Take it away and tell us why you support Trump.
Of course, brother. Thank you for having me. I just think that I would say this. I felt as if I don't agree with everything Trump says, but I also have felt that the left hasn't held up their end of the bargain when it came to getting my vote. And I can only speak because I'm in Texas, right? So when it comes to immigration, obviously, immigration impacts all of us, but obviously down here in Texas, I see it so much. and the impacts of that. So when I was living under Biden and just see the amount, this influx of this illegal immigration coming in and seeing how it was impacting our communities and going off what Trump is doing, I do nothing but can't support that. You know, obviously everything is political, like everything is political. So they're going to find a way to deduce the impact that he's making. But I I don't even see how they can when his numbers are not even as high as Barack Obama's were his first year. So it's like, how can we even get on to Trump when his percentage, I think his percentage is like around like 5% or so in regard to um, deportees, like deporting people. Like it's not even high. So I just don't even understand the, you could say, the criticism of that. Right, which I get is Trump, right? So it's an easy target. Everybody can just make a. It's easy for you to say, okay, well, Trump this, and then just to go opposite of what he's saying, and so, and that's the other reason as to why as well. It's like if it's the right or left, like everything is pushed so far left or everything is pushed so far right, and it seems like the only thing that's kept made sense has been the right for the most part. Like, 'cause there's a bunch of things I disagree with when it comes to the left standpoint, such as, you know, transgender in sports, like in things of that nature. When I hear a governor say we need more trans kids, it's like why are we even pushing that agenda? You shouldn't even pushing that agenda. So, and I think that Trump has done a great job at unifying the side where and making the voice where a lot of people have had for so long of, you know, the transgender viewpoint, immigration viewpoint, and really just putting America first. Because like a lot of the countries I travel a lot. Oh, sorry.
No, go
I know I'm
ahead.
long-winded. A lot of the countries I travel to, you see an identity, especially when I travel to Asia, when I travel to the Caribbean, when I travel to Europe, they have some sort of identity and a culture, right? And I say America lacks that a lot of because we're so quick to tear down what somebody else and what somebody else's view may be. And I think Trump is doing. Obviously, you're gonna have your protests, right? Like
Yeah,
he
by the
goes, he
dude,
captures that.
I'm gonna have to limit you to like you've been going for minutes, man. I'm gonna have to limit you to
I'm
like
sorry, I'm just
another
faster. But go ahead. No, you're good.
you were in the middle of a sentence. I want to allow you to finish the sentence, but like you got to stop at some point.
Well, okay. Well, this will be my last one. In regards to capturing, you know, the dictator for Venezuela, right? Only people that were in opposed of that were American citizens, but people who were actually under Venezuelan dictatorship applaud him for that. I have a very close friend that is from Venezuela that is very happy that Trump did that. So, but go ahead.
Cool, man. I'm going to try to respond to that all. First and foremost, there's a lot that you said that was just like blatantly wrong. One of the points that you made is that Trump's deportation numbers are not as proportionately high as Obama's were. That claim is false. So in Obama's 8-year tenure, do you know how many undocumented immigrants he deported?
The total number?
Yes.
Wasn't it like 1.8 or 1.2, something like that? Million? Something like that?
No, it was actually around 3 times higher than that. 3.1 million.
Okay.
In the last year, do you know how many undocumented immigrants Trump has deported?
The last year, what, like 200, like 400,000?
Now, according to his administration, 1.2 million. So I wanted to be known that that first claim that Trump hasn't proportionally deported more undocumented immigrants than Obama is false. Can you concede that?
So, well, you're saying that he has, right?
I'm saying that he's proportionally deported more people than Obama.
He's reportedly deporting more people.
Yes, because Obama deported 3 million people in 8 years. He's deported over 1 million people in 1 year.
In 1 year?
Yes. So the claim that you made about Donald Trump's numbers being lower than Obama's proportionally, that claim was false.
Well, I said the first year that he's been like percent-wise. I thought it was like 5% or something like that. It's not high.
No, it was 1 million undocumented immigrants.
He's deported over 1 million documented immigrants.
Yes.
When I look at the DHS website, he didn't say that. But if you say that,
that is what the DHS says. Yes, I'm actually getting that claim from the DHS.
Yeah, if that's what he says, then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that claim was wrong. Also, by the way, big difference between Obama's deportations and Trump's deportations. Okay, well, Obama didn't deport anybody without due process, unlike Donald Trump, who has deported plenty undocumented immigrants with no due process in violation of their Fifth Amendment rights, leading federal courts to make rulings against the Trump administration, saying that they're breaking the Constitution and is something in which cannot be allowed. Obama also didn't illegally deport anyone, like the Trump administration illegally deported Abrigo Garcia. And when Obama did make these deportations, he was not deporting them to a center for terrorists in another country where they're being beaten, tortured, and starved, like so many of the people in Sika, including Abrigo Garcia, who's forced to kneel from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And if they were to fall out of exhaustion, would have been beat by the guards and were beat by the guards. And also, Obama wasn't like endorsing and supporting ICE, okay, going door to door, detaining people because of the color of their skin or the accent in which they speak in, or like murdering American citizens like Renee Good in broad daylight. Like these things just simply weren't happening under the Obama administration. And then one last point I'll make here is on top of that, Obama, for the most part, focused on the deportation of undocumented immigrants with those violent criminal offenses on their records, okay? For undocumented immigrants with no criminal record, he actually created multiple programs for them to go to work through work permits, DACA, so on and so forth. So those are the massive, massive differences between Obama and between Trump.
So the due process, I don't believe an illegal immigrant has due process. Okay. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, well, it absolutely does make any sense if you've read the Constitution at all. So the Constitution guarantees due process to anybody within the jurisdiction of the United States of America, all people, which would of course include citizens and undocumented immigrants.
Well, that's not how the Constitution read. So what amendment are you looking at?
The 5th.
The 5th?
Yes, the 5th and 14th.
I thought the 5th was the 5th and 14th. Okay, I thought it was under the 14th Amendment. Yeah, so the 5th I thought was
so due process comes from both the 5th and the 14th. So this is specifically a quote from the U.S. Constitution, quote unquote. Okay. This is under the 5th Amendment. No one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. No one.
Right, but that's in terms of their. So you're saying our founding fathers said anybody. It's not American citizens.
Yes, anyone. Yes, this is in the Bill of Rights. Our founding fathers. No one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
But that can be argued because I can just say that's pertaining to American citizens.
No, you can't argue that it only pertains to American citizens because then you'd be arguing, okay, that undocumented people are not people.
I wouldn't say they're not people.
Exactly. So
I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying in regards to
let me ask
rights.
You this question. If there's a room full of undocumented immigrants, is there no one in that room?
See, that was a good question. That was a good, rhetorical question. But I will say that when it comes to when you're talking about illegal, undocumented immigrants, if I enter a country illegally, you break a crime. Therefore, when you break a crime, such as if I'm a police officer and I come to you and I arrest you for breaking that crime, you have no freedom. You don't have any freedom.
My friend.
Now, if you're saying without due process.
My friend, due process is for people that commit crimes. You get that, right?
Absolutely.
When you are suspected of committing a crime, you are detained and then maybe arrested. And it is at that point that you are then given due process. So saying that undocumented immigrants do not deserve due process because they plausibly committed this federal misdemeanor of undocumented entry, well, then you're just not like truly understanding the nature of what due process even is, considering the fact that that is something designed for people that have potentially broken the law and committed crimes. So, I mean, like, come on, dude. And I want you to answer my question here.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
I'll answer.
If there's a room, once again, guys, you're doing that thing. You're spamming Discord in the chat. Okay, let me just quickly check, see if there's anything there. No, there's no one. There's nothing. There's nothing in the Discord, you guys. So please, at this point in time, only spam Discord if there's something for me to check, so then I'm not having to like interrupt the debate to then go check Discord. Okay, please do not do that. Only spam Discord if there's like legitimately something for me to check. That's very annoying, incredibly annoying. But anyway, I just completely lost my mental like train because I was checking the Discord. But anyways, to go back to what I was saying now, if there's a group of people, okay, in a room, and we know that they're undocumented immigrants, is there no one in that room?
There absolutely are human beings in that room.
Are there
Absolutely.
people in that room?
There are people. Human beings, people, same thing.
Okay, so then check this out.
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, so let's see here. Let's just read the Fifth Amendment once again.
Okay.
Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So on the clear face of reading the Fifth Amendment, it becomes evidently clear that yes, undocumented immigrants are covered under the Fifth Amendment because they're people. This is a really easy implication to understand. In fact, earlier when you were giving your argument for why you don't support the left, you said, well, in many senses, the right is just tracking common sense and not endorsing like pure insanity. Like, I understand that you came up here very respectful and I want to maintain this respectful dialogue, but I want you to know that it is purely insane to let your political biases of being so pro-Trump and so pro-MAGA overwhelm your like rational faculties to the extent where you can read a statement that says nobody should be denied due process and think that you could try to interpret that in a way that does not include undocumented immigrants. And then just the two final blows that I'll give you here is, well, can you agree that ultimately the Supreme Court are the ultimate interpreters of the law in the land? They interpret what the Constitution means.
You said the lawmakers?
The Supreme Court. They are the ultimate interpreters of the Constitution. They determine what the Constitution means.
Yes,
cool, perfect. So not only can we reasonably determine that a fair interpretation of the 14th and Fifth Amendment would prelude to the conclusion that undocumented immigrants have due process, but this is also what SCOTUS ruled in 2021. This is what SCOTUS ruled in 1997. In the Plyer v. Doe case in 1997, they ruled that they have equal protections under the eyes of the law. 2021, they ruled that the Fifth and 14th Amendment do apply to them. So not only is this just a common sense understanding of reading the Constitution for its face value, but it's also been the legal interpretation upheld by SCOTUS for eons.
So what is that wasn't that when the Democrats held the majority as the Supreme Court?
Well, regardless of who held the majority, which isn't true, no, the Republicans
But
held the majority.
that's my point.
No, stop. So regardless of who held the majority, the Republicans held the majority in 2021, by the way, when they made that ruling that they do have due process. Okay, that is still yet the interpretation. And there's just no argument against this, dude. There's none. Like, try to give one.
Yes, I just did. I just said whoever held the majority. If
The
Republicans,
conservatives held the majority in 2021.
Okay, so why haven't they come out and condemned what Trump is doing? Why haven't they stopped it? I'm just asking.
Well, it's because SCOTUS doesn't really. SCOTUS in many circumstances will leave adjudication of a multiplicity of matters to like lower courts. So like lower federal courts have come out and condemned what Donald Trump has done. And then B, I think it's because they're compromised to an extent. But that aside, okay, do you concede that yes, in the eyes of the law and under like a fair interpretation of the Fifth and 14th Amendment, that yes, undocumented immigrants do have due process?
I wouldn't say that because you can argue that it's only tied to U.S. citizens.
Give me that
and
argument.
I just proved the point.
Give me that argument. Give me that argument. I'm going to read you the Constitution. I'm going to read. No. 1 second. I'm going to read you the Constitution. I want you to give me the argument that it's only in reference to citizens.
Can you read the 14th Amendment for me?
14th Amendment, Section 1. Nor shall any state, deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws.
Right. So you're saying that at that time that they made the 14th Amendment, which this is a rhetorical question, by the way. So the time that they made the 14th Amendment, they were thinking about illegal immigrants. They were thinking about everyone.
They probably weren't thinking about undocumented immigrants.
They weren't.
But they were thinking about anyone who could fall under the category of persons. In the same way that they weren't... Will you allow me to finish speaking?
Yeah.
In the same way, that when they wrote the First Amendment, they weren't thinking about Twitter because, they was just pen on parchment paper. They were just rather thinking about how any speech could ever be possibly exercised. When they were writing the Second Amendment, they weren't thinking about automatic AR-15s or handguns, because they were thinking about, singular loaded muskets that could maybe shoot 2 rounds a minute. They were thinking about, like the fair use of firearms in general and the possibilities that could exist in the future.
That was a great argument. Like I said, I give you props. That's a good argument. But they weren't thinking about illegal immigrants when they made the 14th Amendment. You know what they did at the 14th Amendment? We're talking about the end of slavery. That ties into the free citizen vote. That goes into the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. All right. So
we're talking about due process. Due process comes from the 5th and the 14th Amendment. Why are you arguing against this? Like, this is like
I'm not arguing
long-withstanding
against
law.
this.
There's no interpretation from any Supreme Court ruling ever that would deny due process to undocumented immigrants. Fuck, in fact, there's no interpretation from any court ever that would deny due process to undocumented immigrants. Fuck, in fact, there's like no interpretation of the law from any president ever that would deny due process to undocumented immigrants. And the presidents that we've seen refuse to give due process to undocumented immigrants have done so in reckless disregard of the law, not in fair interpretation of the law, right? Like,
So who's going to hold them
think about
accountable?
Think about it this way. How do we determine who is and is not an undocumented immigrant if we're not giving due process to undocumented immigrants?
You said, how do we know?
Yes, how do we know?
Well, have you ever? So this is what I would advise you to do, which you probably won't do it. And I'm going to answer the question with this. Have you ever ridden out with ICE?
No, I've never.
I've never
rode with ICE. Now, can you answer my question?
I'm about to. That's what I'm about to. I'm answering it. So the fact that I've been with ICE and I've actually had firsthand knowledge of seeing how they do it, because you can do ride-alongs with ICE, right? Instead of just coming on here and just saying whatever, and actually see how they identify people and all these things of that magnitude is not what you're saying. So how they quote unquote identify people who are not illegal or whatever, or who is legal, they sit them down, they detain them, which is normal in any other country on this world to do that. You sit them down, you get their name, you see what type of visa they have, if it's valid, if it's not. Most of the time, some people outstay their visas. Some people are committing crimes who then have those removal status from a judge to remove them. So I don't understand now, I'm not saying what your interpretation is wrong, because that's your opinion, that's your view. But to just sit up here and say that, oh, this is completely wrong, and this will, if it was so wrong, why hasn't the Supreme Court came out and condemned it? Why hasn't
they have? Plyer v. Doe. The Supreme Court expressly ruled, okay, that,
so you're talking about 2020,
that the 14th
right?
Amendment gives the same rights to undocumented immigrants that they give to citizens.
So you're saying, but that was in 2020, right?
That was in 1987.
That was in 1987. Okay, I thought you were talking about. I'm talking about recently what Trump is doing.
They don't need to do it
so
again.
Unlawful,
they don't need to. I mean, they don't need to like renew. They don't need to renew.
I'm
their
not saying
Brown v.
renew it.
Listen, they don't need to renew their Brown v. Board decision. Okay. Like they don't need to like restate every calendar year. One moment. They don't need to restate every calendar year. Okay, that racial segregation in schools is illegal. Okay, that when there is schools that are racially segregated, they don't make the ruling on that subject matter because they already have. They give that to lower courts. Like, for instance, we had a racially segregated school in 2016. In accordance with your logic, apparently in 2016, okay, racially segregated schools were constitutional because SCOTUS never ruled on it and instead left it to a local/federal court. The issue with your argument here is no. Once SCOTUS gives their interpretation on a subject matter, okay, they never reinterpret it unless they are going to strike down that ruling and come up with a new one like they did with the Dobbs decision. Once they give their interpretation on a subject matter, like they have, okay, deeming that undocumented immigrants have equal protections under the eyes of the law in the 80s, deeming that undocumented immigrants are protected by due process, they will never make that ruling again. And whenever we see an actor infringe upon that ruling, then they just leave it up to the lower courts to make that ruling in their place, the same way that they did with the racially segregated school in America in 2016, years after their Brown v. Board decision. So it's because the precedent already exists, okay? SCOTUS only rules on cases either if they want to change the precedent or if there is no precedent. But the reason why we don't see them ruling on due process for undocumented immigrants is because they don't want to change that precedent, and that precedent already exists.
Right, I'm saying condemn. I'm not saying they have to make a whole new ruling. I'm just saying condemn. Why hasn't
the way that they condemn is by making a ruling?
Yeah, so they haven't. But they're starting to rehear the 14th Amendment, aren't they not? They just haven't made a ruling on it.
They're not. So what they're starting to like consider a ruling on would be Donald Trump's executive order number 14160 in relation to birthright citizenship. Nothing to do with due process.
Yeah.
I'll happily talk to you about birthright citizenship next, but right now we're talking about due process.
Right. What I'm saying is, if he's doing something that's against due process, meaning, right, he is all like, this is like kind of like you call him a dictator and all this stuff, right? Why hasn't lawmakers and
Judges?
federal judges,
They
Donald
have.
Justice, this
They
who
have.
are not that are appointed by Trump?
We have seen judges, yes, including judges appointed by Trump. Okay,
That's what I'm
strike
saying.
down
If you
Donald
can-
Trump's rulings. Yes, we had a federal judge rule that Donald Trump deported undocumented immigrants, Venezuelan undocumented immigrants to Sica and El Salvador with no due process. He ruled that action as illegal and then told the Trump administration that they had to turn the planes around. Do you see how you don't have an argument here? You can't argue that undocumented immigrants don't have due process because SCOTUS hasn't renewed their ruling, okay? Because once they set precedent, they never rehear that precedent unless they want to repeal it. You can't argue that undocumented immigrants don't have due process because we haven't seen federal judges attempt to injunct upon Donald Trump deporting undocumented immigrants with no due process, because they fucking have. Multiple federal judges have done that in relation to his removal of a handful of Venezuelan immigrants. What is your argument?
My argument is that illegal immigrants don't have due process.
But that argument's not rooted within fact. That argument is rooted with within your own bigotry, within your own xenophobia, and within your own brainless emotions. Like that is just an emotional argument. Listen to this juxtaposition. I just want to tell you, okay, the viewership experience of the debate that you and me are having right now. The average apolitical viewers looking at Dean and they're saying, "Hey, listen, I think that you're making great points, Dean. Like, oh, Dean's bringing up SCOTUS case law and precedent. Dean's bringing up the clear text of the 14th and the 5th Amendment. Dean's bringing up the federal judges that have actually ruled some of his deportations as illegal because he did so without due process. Dean's bringing up even conservative majority SCOTUS panels that have ruled that undocumented immigrants have protections under the 5th and 14th Amendment." And then what's your argument?
I'm not sent one, Dean. You do this, dude. I'm outside walking with my phone. You have probably 2 monitors pulled up. If I was at my monitor, I probably can go a little crazy too and looking up stuff. I'm just going off the top of my head, and obviously I'm going off what I feel, because political most of the time is based off your own interpretation about what you feel. Because I was just saying about how I'm greatly impacted by immigration.
Listen, you can't say because you don't like immigrants that therefore they don't have due process.
No, I love immigrants.
Not only is that not a rational argument in which exists in a cohesive manner, but that's also not a legal argument. And by the way, legal arguments don't care how you feel. Okay?
Absolutely, you're right. You're absolutely right.
The only times your feelings, okay, play into legal arguments is when you want to change the law, is when you want to pass a new law, or when you want to get rid of a law that already exists on the books. Okay? But when we're attempting to interpret the pre-existing laws, okay, that is not a feeling-based argument. That is a legal-based argument. That is an argument that's rooted within the interpretation of that law, what courts have ruled on it, and what SCOTUS has said about it.
So you're saying to a guy who's just in the middle that can swing either way, that what ICE is doing is unconstitutional?
Yes, there are many things that ICE are doing that is unconstitutional. That is exactly what I'm telling you. Okay? What I'm telling you is that undocumented immigrants have due process. I have literally all the reasons why I've described them to you time and time again, and you have no argument to redirect that fact outside of your own feelings. Actually, I challenge you. I'm challenging you to reject the argument that I've given you that undocumented immigrants have due process without invoking your feelings.
I'm invoking my feelings?
Because facts don't care about your feelings.
Absolutely. Well, the facts also say that they're also deporting people who've committed heinous crimes. Do you agree with them to do that?
Yes, I do.
What about the ones that already with the ones?
I do, but you're pivoting. I do, but you're pivoting. Because remember, I'm challenging you, okay, to give a counter argument against the set of facts that I gave you to prove undocumented immigrants have due process.
I've said it, the Constitution. It doesn't specifically state that it says illegal immigrants or immigrants. It says persons. And at the time that our founding fathers wrote everything, they're talking about American citizens. Citizens.
That's not true. Because when the founding fathers...
What thing?
when the founding fathers.
Come on, man. Dean,
Are you just
brother.
gonna whine? Are you gonna get the? Are you gonna wait for the
No,
counter
no. I'm
argument?
just no. I'm not. Come on, Dean. I'm not whining. Dude. I'm just saying that as in like
They
like,
weren't,
come on, man.
dude.
Like, I'm not,
They were not just talking about the citizens. Are you gonna let me finish speaking here?
of course, brother. Of course.
Okay, because obviously you don't know your history. They were talking about. Shut up. They were talking. Shut up. They were talking about, okay, everyone. Okay? And we know this with clear reason. All right? First and foremost, because it is the case that this has been long withheld and upheld by all courts, okay, including SCOTUS. And then second of all, because it is the case that when we wanted to refer to only citizens within the Constitution, we specified that. And then third and last of all, if you want to make this argument that they weren't talking about citizens, okay, well, then apparently today, the only times we have freedom of speech is when we are directly saying something to somebody else in real life or on pen on parchment paper, because those were the only ways that you could communicate when the Fifth Amendment was, when the First Amendment was written. Okay, the only time that you have freedom to own a gun, okay, is when you're firing a musket, because those were the only types of firearms that existed when the Second Amendment was written. Like, answer this question. Do you think that the Second Amendment protects your right to own any gun outside of a musket?
That's where we kind of get into this because I'm not a big believer.
I just want to
would say
no.
yes. I will answer yes. Just for you. Yes.
Okay. But the founding fathers, when they were writing the Second Amendment, could they have been referring to any gun outside of the musket?
You just proved my point.
Answer my question.
No, they were thinking of like you said, they were thinking about, I'm not going to cut. They were thinking about people marching on drums, banging drums, muskets that you got to reload.
Okay.
And you got to punch powder into it.
If you're arguing here, okay, that the Second Amendment would apply to non-muskets, even though when the Second Amendment was written, only muskets existed. Okay, then why can't I argue that the Fifth Amendment applies to non-citizens, even though at the time apparently only citizens existed, which also wasn't true.
But for the most part, illegal immigration wasn't the matter.
Okay, and
you weren't losing a country's identity.
Handguns weren't the matter with the Second Amendment, but yet you still believe that they're protected by the Second Amendment.
I mean, no, that's a different conversation to have. I believe in stricter gun laws. I'm a Republican.
You expressly told me that you think non-muskets are protected under the Second Amendment.
No. I was saying that I believe that when they were
you did. You did say that. Come on, you idiot.
No. Come on, Dean. I'm not disrespecting.
Yes, you are. I'm disrespecting you now, dude.
No, I'm not.
You deserve it. You deserve to be called an idiot.
I deserve
for
disrespect.
This argument.
Come on.
No. What you deserve is to be told the fucking truth. Now answer the question. Do you think that the Second Amendment protects and guarantees an American's right to own any gun outside of the musket?
They were not thinking of an M16 back then.
You're not answering my question.
Why everyone's like, that's what I just said. No, like, no, they were.
Wow. Okay. Now I have another question about due process. So tourists aren't citizens. So you think if a tourist were to come into this country,
tourists are not citizens.
So you think if a tourist,
no, they're not citizens.
So you think if a tourist were to come into this country, they could be arrested and then sentenced to death for like child rape with no prosecution inside of a courtroom?
They wouldn't be. You said if tourists were to come.
Yeah, like, do you think that we should just be able to kill tourists with no due process under suspicion of like a super violent crime?
I'm not saying that. I don't think no one would agree with that.
Wait. Would you argue that tourists have any legal protections, have any constitutional protections against the state just killing them under suspicion of like child rape?
Do I think? So if I go to another country, do I?
No. Not you going to another country. Somebody from another country coming here.
Somebody from another country coming here?
Yeah.
And let's say they're a tourist.
Yeah. Do they have any rights that like guarantee the state can't just kill them under suspicion of a capital crime? under mere suspicion, with no day in court, with no lawyer, with no due process, with no judge and jury.
Of course, because we're not going to just kill them.
Okay, so why do they have that protection?
That's a faithless.
Why do they
have
what guarantees them that protection?
That's a weight lift.
What guarantees them that protection?
What guarantees them that protection?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, due process. Fucking idiot. Due process guarantees them that protection, even though they're not citizens.
No.
Okay, if it's not due process, then what is it?
Because they haven't already committed crimes.
Wait. So you're saying that if a tourist comes into America and commits like an incredibly low-level misdemeanor, say they jaywalk, then the state can execute them under suspicion of child
Absolutely
rape?
not.
Wait, why not? What protects against that?
No one's going to do that. No one's going to do that.
What protects them against that? What protection do they have that would legally prevent that? Common sense is not a legal protection. Common sense is not a legal protection. Common sense is not a legal protection. I'm asking you to articulate the legal protection.
I'm about to.
No. Articulate the legal protection, okay, that any tourist coming into America would have that would prevent the state from executing them based upon
You're about to get on.
Based upon them being the suspect of an incredibly heinous and violent crime.
Perfect. About to give you a great example. Okay?
I don't want an example. I want you to articulate the legal protection that they have.
I'm telling you. I'm about to tell you the legal protection that they have. I'm about to tell you it because this is exactly how it goes. And I advise you to actually, instead of calling someone an idiot, actually go out there, maybe do a ride along with your local police department. So when they arrest someone, they actually answer. I'm about to tell you. So this is what happens. I'm a police officer, right? I go and I arrest someone, let's say DWI. Right, driving while intoxicated.
You're not articulating the legal protection.
I'm getting to the point.
Then get there.
I'm getting there.
Get there faster.
Right, just because the fact that someone's on your ass right now, you're getting upset.
I just want you to get there faster.
What happens with white people? They just get upset when they.
I'm asking you to clearly articulate the legal protection that tourists coming into America would have
I'm giving you a real
executing them because they suspect them of an incredibly violent, heinous crime.
That is a dumbass question.
Okay, then give me the dumbass answer. Then give me the dumbass answer.
It's not going to be a dumb answer. I'm going to give you the real life answer.
Just articulate the legal protection.
Damn, it's their consulate. It's the notification of their consulate. They're not protected under us. So if I arrest someone and I were to take them to jail for a misdemeanor being above here in Texas, right? I take them down to the county jail. I ask them, hey, do you want to notify your consulate? They say yes or no. Majority of them say yes because they want their representation of their government. And you notify their government.
Wait. Why do you have to notify their government?
About? Because you have to.
Wait, why? What legal protection do they have that requires you to notify their government? That is not a part of due process.
That's not part of due process.
Well, then what legal protection is it?
That's the notification of a consulate.
Yeah, but
that's
like I'm asking you what legal protection they have that guarantees them a notification of their consulate.
That's from their country.
Wait, other countries' laws apply in this country?
Yes, it's called notification of consular. Look it up. Look it up. See, you're sitting here laughing because you don't know nothing about it. That's why you're turning red. Okay. Because you don't know.
Okay, so then what if they say
you
no?
Don't know about that.
What if they say no to notifying their consulate? What happens next?
If they say no, that's when an ICE officer comes out. They have ICE officers in jail.
Okay.
Yes, they have ICE officers in jail, Dean.
Okay.
So you don't know nothing about this. That's what I'm saying. You just sit here on
I'm
TikTok.
Just asking you to name. I'm just asking you to name the legal protection that they have against the state killing them.
So that's not a viable question because no one's going to get killed for jaywalking.
The question
is, no one's going to get killed.
What legal protection do they have to prevent the state from doing that?
They don't have any. It's notification.
So you're saying that the state could kill tourists if they wanted to?
No, I'm not saying that. No state's going to do that.
So are you saying that the state legally can't kill tourists even if they wanted to?
No, because no one's going to do that.
Wait, could I just get a clear answer?
That bars. First of all, let me answer that because that's
no. I want a very clear answer here. Do you affirm or reject the following sentiment? States can kill tourists if they wanted to.
No.
Okay. So states can't kill tourists if they wanted to. Okay. So what legally prevents a state from killing a tourist?
It's us bounded by our laws. I'm a police officer.
Oh, so you're saying that we have a law. You're saying that we have a law that legally prevents us from just killing a tourist. What law?
Bro, You are trying to stop
What
muting me.
law?
You're
What
trying to
law?
navigate this tournament.
What
Okay,
law?
let me answer this.
No,
See, this is what
no,
happens
don't
when
pivot.
I get right.
Don't
No,
pivot.
this is what
What
happens.
law? No. Do not pivot. What law? Do not
I can say
pivot.
it if you will stop moving. You're muting me, and this is great.
No.
This is why I'm so
Stop.
far
Stop.
right.
Stop. What
This is why
law?
I'm so far right. There is no law that
Wait, you just said
states
it there
that
was.
I'm a police officer. I'm a police officer.
You're really shitty
I
one.
cannot go up. I can't go up to someone and accuse anyone of any crime because that's something that I have to be bounded to because I served and I honored an oath to serve and honor the U.S. Constitution.
Oh, so the U.S. Constitution guarantees rights to non-citizens?
No, you dummy.
Wait, but they're
It's just that
tourists. They're not a
can't get
citizen.
killed. They don't have what? Who's killing people?
Yo! So you're saying that the U.S. Constitution, okay, would legally prevent you from killing a tourist, a non-citizen, if you wanted to. Right? Can you affirm or deny that statement? The U.S. Constitution would legally prevent you from killing a tourist if you wanted to. Right?
If I'm an American citizen, yes.
Oh,
personally.
shit!
Me personally.
Oh, fuck! Wait. So I just want to make this super duper clear. The U.S. Constitution guarantees rights to that to that tourist, even though they're not a citizen.
No, that's my constitutional right.
Wait, where in the Constitution, okay, does it say that if you're a citizen, you can't kill anyone else?
Huh? It's law. I'm not saying the Constitution. I'm saying
You
that's
just
law.
said the Constitution.
I can't. I'm saying that's what me. I'm taking it in terms. If we're talking about ICE,
You
I'm
just
talking
said
about
you
in
just said
terms
the
of as ICE
Constitution.
officer,
You
as
just
a
said the
police officer.
Constitution.
Yes, I said
The Constitution doesn't say that if you are a citizen, you can't kill anyone else. It says
No,
that if
that's
you are a
as I
person,
s-
you can't be killed without due process. But like, yeah, I'll show you the absurdity in your argument here. So you're saying that the Constitution would prevent you from killing anyone else if you wanted to. So non-citizens can legally kill non-citizens in America?
Dang. You keep muting my mic. You keep muting my mic, and I get it. You're trying to do this way because you can control it because you're getting cooked. That's why you're turning red.
Literally, dude, the
So
only
that's why you're
person that
turning red.
thinks you're cooking is you.
That's why you're getting. No one else is going to agree with me, Dean.
The reason why no one agrees with you here is just because of how like unfathomably wrong you are. No. Stop talking.
I'm not.
Just stop talking.
No, I'm not.
Just stop talking.
No.
Stop talking.
So
Wait.
You asked the question.
Who interprets the Constitution?
Lawmakers.
Which ones? Also, no, that's not true.
What do you mean? Which ones? Which ones?
Which lawmakers are the ultimate interpreters of the Constitution, Mr. Cop? You should know this as a law enforcement officer.
I'm not a cop personally, but I will. It's the Supreme Court.
Okay. The Supreme Court. So if the Supreme Court like rules an interpretation of the Constitution, is that ruling final?
Is that ruling a final?
Yeah.
Yes, but it can be appealed.
Okay, and
right?
who could it be appealed by?
But it has to be a certain amount of years, I believe. But yeah, it can be appealed
by.
The lawmakers, like your congressman, you can get votes can go up.
No, they can't. Actually, you're wrong. You're
and then that case,
wrong.
It's a case. It's by the people.
That
it
statement
can
is
go all
false.
the way up, and that can challenge that case.
No.
Yes,
Nope, that statement's false. No. Congress cannot appeal a SCOTUS ruling. Who has the ability to appeal a SCOTUS ruling?
Personal, like the people.
No, the people don't have the ability to appeal a SCOTUS ruling.
So you're saying like Roe v. Wade?
Appeal a SCOTUS ruling.
So you're saying the Roe v. Wade doesn't like as an American citizen, if I had a case that goes all the way up and then there's another Supreme case that can challenge that and they look at that and they take that, what do you mean to challenge that?
Who appeals SCOTUS rulings?
That happens all the time.
Who appeals SCOTUS rulings? No. Who appeals SCOTUS rulings?
The people.
No. It's SCOTUS themselves. The only body of people.
See, that's what I just said.
No, you said the people. The people are not identical to the Supreme Court. No. Okay? The Supreme Court are appointments made by the representatives of the people. That doesn't mean that the Supreme Court is identical to the people. Okay? So anyways, so just to be sure, okay, with as little words as possible, because you love to rant and ramble to muddy the waters. Boy, quit with that mute
button, boy. I tell you that.
Okay, because you love to rant and ramble to muddy the waters. We've now agreed that when SCOTUS makes a ruling, it is final unless SCOTUS appeals that ruling, correct?
Yes, off a hearing case.
Okay.
law.
Okay. Perfect.
Dumbass.
So check this out. When SCOTUS ruled in
I'm sorry for calling you
1987,
dumbass. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry for calling you
then
dumbass.
stop
I
interrupting me.
genuinely.
It's okay. Just stop
That's
interrupting
it.
me. So when SCOTUS ruled in 1987 that undocumented immigrants have equal protections under the eyes of the law, including due process, was that ruling final?
Yes.
Has that ruling been appealed?
Not yet. They're working on it.
No. So actually, no, they're not working on it.
Yes, they are.
No.
Well, their interpretation of working on it might not be it, but there is case law pending about that.
Give me any evidence that they're quote unquote working on it.
The 14th Amendment.
So wait, no, that's a challenge of birthright citizenship, the first section, not equal protections, the fourth section.
Huh?
They're not challenging equal protections. They're challenging birthright citizenship. You're wrong.
That's in the entirety of the 14th Amendment.
No, they're not challenging the entirety of the
Equal.
14th Amendment. They're not.
So what are they challenging?
One part of one clause,
They're
particularly
challenging one part?
what it means to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof in the first clause of the 14th.
Okay.
Okay, so are they challenging that undocumented immigrants have equal protections under the eyes of the law?
Well, I haven't looked at it, and if you say so, I'm gonna believe
They're
you.
not.
No, they're
okay.
not.
So now that
Then
you've
they're not.
accepting that when SCOTUS makes a ruling, it's final unless it's appealed by themselves, then you accept that you're wrong. Because when they ruled that undocumented immigrants have equal protections and due process, that ruling was final.
Yes, I'm wrong, Dean. You're right. You're right.
They could
You're right. And I swear to God, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being anyway. You're right. You're right.
Echo?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there echo?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second.
No, it's fine, man. We'll just move on to the next guest. I appreciate you for coming up, man. I appreciate you for conceding that. That was a very difficult debate. I was very close to losing my cool at many points in that last discussion. Let's go ahead and get that next guest loaded up into the box, y'all. Only up inside of that queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Trump as president. Holy cow. Hey, Katz, thank you so much for the 20 Canadian dollars over on YouTube Super Chat, who says, if this guy's a cop, then I'm a bowl of spaghetti. And that guy's a kid. Dude, dead ass Cat. Thank you so much for the $20. Let's get 200 Cat W's down below. Thank you so much for your kindness, Cat. While we're still looking for that next Trump supporter, only up inside of that queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Trump as president, please. We're just looking for some debates. As well as Odysseus, thank you for the $10, who says, sounds like this guy's never heard of police brutality, as if the police were somehow godlike and don't have the potential of being bad or evil. That guy was just like, his argument was incoherent. I'm really happy that he inevitably conceded it. And then Britt, thank you for the $10, who says, this loser's the reason why I don't trust cops. Then Camp, thank you for the $20, who says, this quote-unquote cop is not fit to be a Segway security guard at a mall's food court. As a taxpayer, I demand the refund of his salary. And then Trash with the $20, who says, if he's actually a police officer, that's fucking terrifying. Also, Kurt was murdered by a cop for jaywalking. Somebody was legitimately murdered by the cops for jaywalking. And then, hey, Rachel, I appreciate you for the $20 as well. I'm going to go to keep your message to myself because of its incredibly sensitive nature, but huge shout out to you and your family. Thank you for the $20, guys. If we could please show some love to all of the donors down below in that chat while we're still working on getting that very next guest loaded up into the live. It mean the absolute world to me. Seriously, you guys over on Super Chat. Thank you about a billion times over. Welcome, Indie Sport Trump.
Nah, sorry. You must have got me, bud.
No worries. We got textures loading up in here. Hey, Emily, I appreciate you for the $20 donation on Venmo. Let's get 200 Emily W's. He says, hey, Dean, I'm usually a VOD watcher, but I'm happy to see you live today. I love what you do, and I've learned so much from watching you. Dude, that is awesome. Thank you so much, Emily. I'm really happy that you've learned a lot from the streams. That's why I do what I do. As well as Connor with the $10. Thank you so much. Who says, from the DJG press briefs today, did you see the 243/365 accomplishments of a second term for the first year? I mean, I was briefly watching the briefing, but I mean, it was kind of like hard to follow because of how incoherent and delusional he is. And then, hey, Ashlyn, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. Yo, let's get 200 Ashlyn W's down below. Thank you for your support. And then Terry, thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo. Says, appreciate what you do from Waco, Texas. Well, huge shout out to you and Waco, Texas, Miss Terry. Thank you. Show some love to Terry down below. That is Terri. Thank you so much for the love, Terry. And then Taylor, thank you so much for the $10. She says, what are the chances anything comes from this look into Trump's mental fitness? Rather low until the midterms, but, it's still good to point it out. And it looks like we're all caught up over on Venmo. All right, we got the next guest loaded up in right now. MAGA Girl. Hello, welcome in. Are you MAGA? You left the TikTok app. You actually have to come back. Hi. Are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
What year were you born in?
2006, September 12th.
And how old are you?
I'm 19.
Do you work a job, or are you in college?
Yes, I am in college and I do work a job. I work at a mental facility actually.
Okay, let me ask you real quick. What do you think like full-time employment is per week?
Full-time employment, about 40 hours.
Yeah, okay, I trust you. I trust you. Why do you support Trump?
I support Trump because, let's see. I just feel like the left is not. I feel like they lead with emotions, and I feel like Trump really leads with his logic. And
Buddy, did you watch that
he
last
just.
debate?
No, I did not.
Makes sense. Go ahead.
So, I just feel like Trump is more logical with the kind of things he does. I like how he runs the country. I like how he he's not the best person. But business-wise, I do like how he
Can I
runs
just
the
cut you off
country.
there to talk about the first point?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to need you to explain Trump's logic to me, okay?
Okay.
So on one hand, he's saying that he wants to invade Greenland and take ownership over the country because if we don't do it, then the enemy of Russia or China will, and that will be very bad for us. But then on the other hand, like literally 4 hours ago, he reposted something on Truth Social that said, Russia and China aren't the true enemy. The true enemy is the UN and NATO. Could you explain the logic behind those seemingly incredibly contradictory and illogical statements?
Could you repeat that last section really quick? Sorry.
So on one hand, Donald Trump is threatening an invasion of Greenland to take the country over to prevent the
Okay.
enemy of Russia or China from taking it over first, which would be very harmful to us. Then on the other hand, he went on Truth Social like 4 hours ago and said that Russia and China aren't the true enemy, but rather UN and NATO are. Explain the logic behind that.
I did not know about this. Hold on.
Can you explain
Did
the
he
logic
tweet
behind
this? The logic?
Yeah.
By him saying that he was going to invade Greenland? And then
I'm
going...
well, I mean, that's also illogical. Sure, I'll have you do that next. But what I first want you to address is the illogical, contradictory nature of saying in one circumstance that Russia and China are the enemies, and then and then in another circumstance saying that Russia and China are not the enemies.
Why the hell would he say that?
Like I've told you 2 times, dude. He reposted a tweet of somebody saying that we've made Russia and China the boogeyman, but in all reality, the real enemy is from within UN and NATO.
Okay.
Explain the logic.
Well, I really think he's just trying to, like, you know, Trump doesn't want enemies and stuff with, like, the other countries. So maybe he could be saying that to, like, kind of, you know, dodge a bullet there, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying because this just makes more enemies. Because in one circumstance, he's villainizing Russia and China. Then in the other circumstance, he's villainizing the UN and NATO. So therefore, in total, he's villainizing everyone. How does villainizing everyone give you less enemies?
Villainizing everyone gives us less enemies?
How
You're
so?
asking me why?
Yeah.
I don't think it would be villainizing.
That's exactly what he's doing. When you call somebody the enemy, you're villainizing them by definition.
I think it's less of like calling them, villainizing them, and then I think it's more of like a business thing is what he's talking about.
That sentence makes no sense. You can't just like throw in the phrase business thing to make the illogical logical.
Okay, can we talk about something else? Because I don't feel like
we could
I'm
talk.
not. I will admit I'm not.
We could talk about something
educated.
else. Okay. So can you
Okay,
explain the
I'm
logic?
not educated.
Can you explain the logic to me? With Donald Trump on one hand saying that we need to punish all criminals and that no one is above the law, but then on the other hand, pardoning 174 domestic terrorists that tried to kill cops on the steps of our Capitol, then labeling them patriots.
So can I ask where you're getting your information from?
Sure, for which claim?
Let's see. Him pardoning the terrorists, I think.
Yeah, J6 pardons. Those happened on January 21st of 2025. Gave pardon to everybody convicted of any crime to do J6, totaling 1,600 people, my bad. And then 174 of those pardons were specifically of people that were criminally convicted of either attempted murder or violent assault on cops.
Okay. But you're saying he's, like, deporting criminals?
Deportation, it came up nowhere in the question that I asked you. The question that I asked you, once again, I'll repeat it. I hate having to repeat literally every single thing I say like 5 times, but it's fine.
I
I'll do it.
understand. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
I'm
It's
not
okay.
that smart.
It's
I'm
okay.
trying.
I'll repeat it. So you said that Trump is logical. Please explain the logic with Donald Trump on one hand saying that no one is above the law and that we need to really punish criminals, but then on the other hand pardoning 164 violent criminal domestic terrorists and calling them patriots.
Okay, so let me put it this way. That's not very logical, and I do not have an argument for this.
But I thought that Trump was logical.
It's like less of logical. It's more of like.
No,
I don't think
you
he
said
plays
logical.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean logical. I thought one thing when I said.
Yes, you
know
did.
what I'm saying? Like,
you did mean logical. It's okay. It's okay to just say that you were wrong instead
Are
of
you
attempting
sure?
to gaslight me into believing that you misspoke.
I'm not trying to gaslight you, sir. I'm very sorry. I'm just saying that like maybe he's not that logical.
Okay, perfect. So then you concede your argument.
I think so. But can I ask you a question really quick?
Are you either a fetus or a troll?
No, I promise. I'm seriously not educated
I want
enough.
to ask you another question about your age, okay?
Yeah, what's up?
We confirmed that you're 19 based upon a valid birth date, and then you told me that you work, and that's 40 hours a week. And then you said that you're in school. Are you in school full time?
Yes.
How many credit hours are you getting per semester?
Per semester, 12.
You're not lying. Yeah, that's actually the minimum required credit hours in my state, Colorado, in order to be considered a full-time student is 12. This is legitimately a 19-year-old. Okay, all right.
So,
Good.
can I just be honest? I'm not educated enough. I grew up in a MAGA household, and with both my parents supporting Trump and stuff, that's kind of all I know.
Yeah.
So all I've been told is like, oh my gosh, you should vote for Trump. You should, this, that, and the third about Trump. So I'm trying my best. I don't really think it was logic.
All right, man. Well,
that he had.
listen. I grew up a very similar way. I had very MAGA conservative parents. I went to a very MAGA conservative school. I was surrounded by very MAGA conservative people. Okay, so I get it. I remember being a lot younger and just kind of like just believing the same things for not much reason. I wasn't too political myself. But then, I finally started doing my own research and I started waking up, and you are the exact type of person that drives me to do these live streams every day. And you also sound like you could be open-minded because you're just starting to explore the world around you, to look into politics. That's cool. So I think that my preferred argument to run against, people like yourself that seem like you're not like completely lost into the cult. You haven't had like your brain cells like eroded by, these cult-like behaviors, and you haven't succumbed to all of the propaganda to the extent of where you believe it full-heartedly, and you're just kind of now exploring the world. And these are just simply the things that you've heard over the course of your life. I would love to ask you a question. Can we like both like fairly agree, okay, that, predators shouldn't have power over their prey, rapists shouldn't be working normal jobs, and they definitely shouldn't be serving as president?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you probably don't know this. In 2023, a court of law found Donald Trump guilty of raping a woman by the name of E. Jean Carroll. All 9 jurors agreed that he raped her. All 9 jurors agreed that he unconsensually and forcefully penetrated her female member with his fingers. And all 9 jurors agreed that this is something that happened. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, it also gets a lot worse than, not a lot worse. I mean, I don't want to say that one form of sexual violence is worse than another. So I'm just going to restart that statement. It also gets, there's a lot more than just that. He's also not only like sexually exploited naked women and girls by following them into their dressing rooms and then looking at their bodies, but he's like boasted about it too. Like it was like a funny or like a good thing. So he did this to Howard Stern in 2005. He said that, the funniest thing he'd do is he'd just like follow the women and girls into their dressing rooms and then look at them when they had no clothes on.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I feel so uneducated right now.
Well, honestly, I feel like maybe like the best place for you to be is to be watching the live. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're like, literally the reason why I do these streams. I apologize for originally coming at you with a little bit of hostility. One
It's
thing
okay.
that
The way I was talking.
maybe like one thing
Sorry,
that a
go
lot of
ahead.
people like don't understand is that it's very like psychologically like difficult for me to go from like having a conversation of the type that I was with the last guest, where they're just being very intellectually dishonest, very dense, very poor, and then like
that guy
like
sucked.
dropping on a coin drop from engaging in a dialogue with someone like that to the now engaging in a dialogue with someone like you. But I think what I just recommend here is like I think that you should watch the live. I think that, you should try to hear me out for what I have to say. And I think if you do watch the live, maybe while you're doing chores, doing, anything that you need to do for work, maybe schoolwork, you said that you're in college, like inevitably I will be able to convince you here.
Right. I appreciate that. I'm just gonna ask you really quick, how could I move forward with having these like super uber MAGA parents and family? Like, if I am not MAGA, I feel like I will, like, you know what I mean?
Well,
Where could I?
That's a good question, because this is something that I've experienced myself in my past, right? I also have those uber MAGA family members. And obviously it's been very uncomfortable for me, for me to go from like agreeing with them and being accepted in the family, then I like completely and staunchly disagreeing with them on everything and kind of being a little bit of an outcast. But first and foremost, something that I've learned, and by the way, this isn't true of all families, I'm just speaking on my own personal experience here, is that my family, okay, even though they hold crazy political beliefs, they genuinely do love me. And I've been able to maintain really healthy and productive relationships with both my parents and then many of even my extended family members, even though they politically disagree with me, and they know that. But once again, that's not true for everyone. But I do remember like a handful of years ago thinking like, oh, like I make it clear that I politically disagree with them. I'll be the outcast. They won't really love me anymore. They won't view me as like, a good son anymore. But I kind of figured out that I was wrong and that they do still love me. So that's cool. But I mean, even in the circumstances where that's just not a viable option, because there are a lot of parents, like I feel like I'm kind of lucky in that sense that, if they were to figure out that their children disagree with them on their political beliefs, which is completely outcast them and shun them, you could also lie. You could also lie to your parents, dude. Like, honestly,
Right,
I think
true.
that is the path of least resistance. And I'm not going to scrutinize you for engaging in that path of least resistance. I would significantly prefer you to, seek truth, okay? Come informed to the conclusions that, we need to vote against Trump in the midterms, vote against the Republicans in the midterms, while then lying to your family members about that so you could still maintain that cohesive, productive, and healthy, well, not really healthy, like healthy-ish relationship with them where they still love you, compared to like
Right.
not lying about them and like intentionally maintaining willful ignorance on the subject matter, scared of what the repercussions would be if you were honest with them about your political opinions, given that they were to change.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you. I'm sorry for sounding so uneducated.
No, never apologize for being uneducated when you are actively seeking out education. That is not a position of downfall. That's not a position of deserving of scrutiny. That's not a position of any of those traits. I think that we all start somewhere. None of us know everything, including me. And I think that all of us, once again, including me, could be a little bit more humble at times and really reach out to determine what the truth is instead of saying so firm in our convictions. And I think admitting that you're uneducated and admitting that you want to seek truth is a really noble first step.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm going to hop off because you got some people that you need to kick their ass, but thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a great rest of your day, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Let's go to move on to the next guest, guys. Only opposite side of that cube, you happen to be MAGA, y'all. Let's go to get that next guest, Time Traveler 848, loaded up into the box. And hey, dude, thank you so much for the $50, Mama Lisa, over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you. Mama Lisa with the $50 says, these people will never cease to amaze me. Thank you for educating people and for defending victims. Oh, Mama Lisa, thank you so much for your incredibly kind words and the $50. I really hope that you're enjoying the stream today. And huge shout out to you, y'all. Dude, let's show some love to Lisa down below in that comment section. Thank you so much, Lisa. Let's get 500 Lisa W's. And then Claire, thank you so much for the $50 on PayPal. Thank you so much, Claire. Claire with the $50 literally just says WD. Dude, Claire, that is a shit ton of money. Huge shout out to Claire and Lisa down below in that comment section for the hella love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then just a couple of other people here. First and foremost, Aisha, that is AYSHA. Thank you for the 25 New Zealand dollars. Huge shout out to Aisha down below in that chat who says, thank you so much for giving me a reason to wake up every morning and make a huge difference. Oh, thank you so much, Aisha. Huge shout out to you. Let's also get 100 Rachel W's for the $10. Thank you so much. And then 100 Anna W's for the $10. Thank you so much, Rachel and Hannah and Anna. And then Darius, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal. He says, more for the toaster fund. Darius, thank you. Thank you so much for the love, dude. I need to go out and get that damn toaster at once. ASAP. Thank you so much for the $20, Darius. Huge shout out to you. Show some love to Darius down below. Then Janet, thank you so much for the 10. Then Madeline, thank you for the 10. Madeline says, can you please say hi, Jonah and Allie, and not Jillian? Hello to Jonah and Allie, and not Jillian. Appreciate you for the $10. And then Katie, thank you for the $10, who says, for some ingredients because you are cooking. Thank you for what you do. Well, thank you so much for the $10. And I hope that you're enjoying the stream, Katie. And then Annabelle, thank you for the $20, who says, my sister and I are watching from England right now. We have a dad who is a crazy Trump supporter, and we are constantly hearing his shit. Dude, in England? Bro, that is insane. I feel so bad for y'all. Holy cow. Yo, listen, RIP to Annabelle and Annabelle's sister, but thank you for the $20. Toby, same thing to you. Thank you for the $20. And then Michelle, thank you for the 25. Let's get 200 Toby W's and 250 Michelle W's. Toby with the 20 says, as a doctor, we value critical housekeeping between patients, taking a few seconds to recover and reset so we could see the next patient fresh. It is so important, and it's nice to see you have the insight and notice that you need to do the same thing in your line of work too. Yeah, I definitely do need to do that at times. It's just hard to psychologically get out of one really hard debate into like one like more honest conversation. Then Michelle with the 25 says, amazing show of compassion and empathy for the 19-year-old. And thanks for once again making my commute home entertaining. Michelle, as always, it is good to see you. As always, I hope that you're enjoying the stream. And as always, thank you so much for the love. Let's go and get that next guest loaded up into the box. Only up inside of that queue if you are MAGA. Please, 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 please. And seriously, for everyone who's been supporting, appreciate y'all so much. All right. Next guest, Anton, is connecting into the box as we speak. Here we go. And by the way, if you're watching and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio on TikTok. Pin message over on YT. You could even attach a message, and I might be able to read it out loud to everyone. All right, they left. We got Tony loading up in here. Y'all looking for the next Trump supporter? It looks like Elliot is the sole chatter, spamming grifter. Hello, Elliot. Hello, Tony. Do you support Trump?
No, I just want to come here and tell you that I love you, and I'm glad that you're great contact. I watch you all the time.
Thank you, Tony.
And I never got a chance to ever do live with anybody, so I just want to shout out to my support, but I let you go because I know you want to talk to Trump supporters. I do not like.
Well, thank you so much, Tony. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thank you so much for coming up. I do want to reiterate here, though, folks, we are only looking for Trump supporters. Please only join inside of that box if you happen to be MAGA folks. And thank you so much for your support, Tony. But y'all, let's try to just keep it to Trump supporters. Please, 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 please. All right, let's go to get that next guest loaded up into the box right now, folks. Everyone, just do give us a minute. Now we have a couple other people spamming grifter in hopes that I'll say hey to them too. Hey, Susie. Susie's spamming grifter. I'll say hi to you too. Welcome in, Freaky As User. Do you support Trump? Freaky As User, you got 5 seconds?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born in?
2007.
Okay, I think that there's a little bit of a delay, but that's fine. Here, give me a second. Aiden, thank you so much for the $15 over on Venmo. Let's get 150 Aiden W's. Thank you so much for your support, man. Aiden with the big 15 says, did you see that Trump called Renee's death a tragedy after he said that her death was just an act of self-defense? I did see that in the press conference today. It was insane. It was insane. He was like, well, I could see both sides of the story. It was truly a tragedy. You know, like days after, he labeled her as a fucking domestic terrorist. Okay, dude, go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
I support Trump because, you know, our state, Connecticut, right? The Ooch is supporting Trump, and you know, we love the Ooch, right?
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next guest, guys. Only hop inside of that queue of your MAGA. We got the next guest loading up into the box right now. Follow the rules. We have over 20,000 people watching the stream. There is absolutely zero good reason why I shouldn't be able to find one Trump supporter out of everyone watching. Come on, y'all. And dude, Anne, thank you so much for the 55 euros over on Super Chat, who says, Anne, yes, you deserve it. Anne, thank you. Thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity. It means the world to me. Seriously, Anne, thank you so much for supporting what we do here. Thank you so much for supporting me. Like, seriously, dude, if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be able to do this 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year. So just know that I really appreciate you. Show some love to Anne down below in that comment section by calling me a grifter. Thank you so much for supporting the grift, Anne. All right, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for doing what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate you, man. You take care. You take care. We're just looking for Trump supporters, please, y'all. We got our next guest, Mickey Feynman, loading up into the box. All right. We have another super chat to support the grift. Jacob, thank you for supporting the grift. Thank you for the $20. She says, go get him, Dean. Thank you so much for supporting the grift. Huge shout out to you. Huge shout out to you, Jacob. Thank you so much for the love, man. I'm pretty sure you've been in here, by the way, a couple times in the past. So shout out to you, dude. What's up, Mickey? Do you support Trump?
Bro, Dean, oh my gosh, I love you.
Take care. All right, I appreciate you for the love, dude. Just looking for MAGA, though. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Follow the rules, y'all. Follow the rules. We're about to start putting the rules back up on the phone screen. Okay, well, now it's no fun that I told everyone to spam Grifter, because now I don't know who's, like, being real and who's just, like, joking. Because I'd like to talk to the people that actually think that, but now that I know that a lot of people are just spamming Grifter in the comment section because I told you guys to. I guess I didn't really think that one through. Hey, do you support Trump? Nope, Joel's not here. Nope, not here. Holy crap, guys. Okay, I think that this is probably the most convincing argument, okay? If you happen to be a fence sitter watching from home and you're not sure if you should or shouldn't support Trump, please consider the fact that right now we have a combined total of 27,000 live viewers with over 20K on TikTok and 6.5K on, excuse me, YouTube. And out of the 27,000 people watching, I'm literally struggling to find a single person who's willing to come up here and engage in a good faith, productive dialogue with me about why they are MAGA. All right, please consider that. Please consider that fact. Hi, are you MAGA?
Yo, what's up, man?
You got all that wind blowing, dude. Are you outside? Can you go inside?
My bad. Can I join in like 5 minutes? I'll be back.
Okay, moving on to the next guest, y'all. We got our next guest. Let's see. Loading up right now. I'm looking for somebody in the queue that is just like screaming MAGA. Dude, join that fucking queue of your MAGA. Don't be scared. Okay, I know that there's a bunch of Trump supporters watching from home. Don't be scared, dude. Don't be scared. Hop in that queue, dude. Don't be scared. Dude, yo, Aaron, thank you for the $20 on PayPal who says, do your thing. I'm doing my thing, Aaron. Appreciate you for your support. Show some love to Mr. Aaron down below in that comment section for the $20. Seriously, man. I appreciate it. What's up? Do you support Trump? Thomas, you got 5 seconds, my friend. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Thomas, you're burned. Moving on to the next guest right now, y'all. Holy cow, dude. Impossible to find the debates. Holy cow, dude. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
You do? How old are you?
18.
What year were you born in?
2007.
Oh, dude, I accidentally just disconnected you, Jay. Feel free to hop back inside of that queue. I meant to accept IQ Tank up, but I accidentally disconnected you. Hop back in that queue, bro. In the meantime, what's up, IQ Tank? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do, man.
Okay, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 49.
Perfect, dude. All right, let's hop into our debate. This will be great, especially considering your bio. I'd love to have a conversation with you about the nature of Christianity and if it would align or not align with the nature of the Trump administration. That'll be fun. Before we do, let me just thank 3 people that'll pass you the mic. First and foremost, Kathy, dude, thank you so much for the $100 donation over on PayPal, quote unquote, for the grift. Kathy, it is so good to see you again. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you're enjoying the stream as always. And thank you so much for the $100 donation. Like, seriously, Kathy, that is nuts. I don't deserve it. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. Thank you. Thank you so much for such an insane fucking nuts, an insane level of support. Please, guys, I want to see 1,000 Kathy W's in the TikTok comment section, the YT comment section. Thank you so much for the love. And then Paige, thank you for the $11 that says thank you for what you do, Dean. Love from the UK. Well, love to you, Paige. And then dude, Dan, thank you for the $100 on Venmo, who says keep up the great work. I know you will. Kathy and Dan, oh my God, the goats of the hour. Thank you both. Dude, seriously, show some love to Dan, Mr. Dan, and Miss Kathy in the live chats. Huge shout out to Dan and Kathy. Thank you so much, both of you. All the love in the world to you guys. Thank you, guys. All right, take it away, IQ Tank. Why the hell do you support the worst president of your life and most anti-Christian president of your life, Mr. Trump?
Man, there's so many things that I support about Trump. As a Christian, I do not support abortion. So he stands for that value. So I stand with him.
Okay.
And the other thing is that the world right now seems like it's getting so soft. And you need someone who is tough outside there. Let me tell you. For example, myself, I'm an immigrant. And as an immigrant, when we come to these countries, we should make sure these countries are okay for the next future generation. But guess what? Some of the immigrants, they come here and they destroy it. I work over 2 jobs and I support myself. But other people, they will take advantage of it and screw up everything.
Oh.
And let me give you one example. if right now, if someone who is white and say, hey, why are you screwing up on destroying this country? If you think this place is so bad, why don't you go back where you came from? As soon as you say that and this person is white, he's racist. But me as a black man, I will tell you, man, I want my grandkids to have the better life and the better future to this country. I will tell you, if you think here it's bad, why don't we go back or go back to the countries that we came from? We came here because it's better. Simple and plain as that.
Yeah. So like
Maybe I'll stop there.
So I don't know. Let me get let me just get an idea here. Maybe like walking over cut glass is preferable and better than walking over a hotbed of coals. But that doesn't mean that it's not okay to not be wanting to walk over a bed of cut glass. Okay, it's like I just don't understand why it's so difficult for so many people on the right to attempt to understand the notion that like although a set of conditions can be preferable, that doesn't mean that the set of conditions can't be better. And honestly, in many scenarios, okay, America was only preferable for immigrants maybe like 10 years ago. Okay, but now that we have plainclothes ICE agents, okay, black bagging college students and shipping them to detention centers, deporting people with no due process to where they're now being tortured and beat in El Salvador, and ICE agents going door to door and detaining people because of the color of their skin or the accent in which they speak in, okay, now actually they are experiencing less preferable conditions in this country to the ones that they would be experiencing in the country that they came from. But at this point, they've already been here, they live here, they have a life here, they have children here, they have a wife or a husband here, they have their children in school here, they work a job here, they have a life here, okay? And I don't think, okay, that the life in which so many millions of immigrants have built in this country all of a sudden becomes less valuable or less of as endearing of respect simply because their life started somewhere else. And I see a lot of people in the comment section spamming that the guest follows kids. Feel free to take a screenshot if that is true and drop it in a private ticket inside of my Discord. All right. So I hope that clears up your second point. Now, in reference to your first point about abortion, I'd love to talk to you about this. So what branch of Christianity do you follow?
Oh man, I usually I don't like it to. I will say that I will say the core of Christianity is to believe that Jesus Christ is God and Lord and Savior.
That's true. That's
yes.
Are you Catholic or Orthodox or not? Catholic or Orthodox?
No, I will say more of Protestant.
A Protestant. Cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. So your argument is that abortion is wrong because it's a sin?
Correct.
Your argument is that abortion should be illegal because it's a sin?
Sorry, correct.
Can you point me towards any verses inside of the gospel in which would indicate that the sin of abortion is worse than any other sin?
I think that now I'll have to start Googling and all that.
You want to be able to, because the most common and Protestant interpretation is that all sins are identical in the eyes of God outside of blasphemy.
Yes, all I said this is when you think about life starts as soon as evolution.
Well, can you just agree to that? Do you agree with the common Protestant interpretation of the gospel that all sins are identical in the eyes of God outside of blasphemy?
Sorry, repeat again.
Do you agree with the common Protestant interpretation of the gospel, which is that all sins are identical in the eyes of God outside of blasphemy?
It could be interpretation there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yep. This guy's following a bunch of kids. Goodbye. Yeah, he's following a bunch of fucking kids. Appreciate y'all for dropping that in the Discord. Moving on to the next guest here. Only up inside of that queue of your MAGA, please. We got the next guest, Lynn, loading up into the box. Make sure if you're in that queue that you're following. The rules, you have to be at least 18. You've got to be an American and you've got to be MAGA. Howdy. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for being here. Let me thank a couple people, then I'll pass you that mic. First and foremost, Casey with the $5. She says, thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much, Casey with a K. And then Jessica, thank you so much for the $25 over on Venmo. Jessica, thank you. Let's get 300. Jessica W's, who says, my Gma passed away 2 years ago and she hated Trump. I know she would probably be horrified to learn that he was reelected and to see what's going on in our country today. I miss her every day, but I know that she's probably incredibly proud of seeing what you're doing. So this is a dono in honor of my grandma, Barbara. Well, Jessica, I bet that your grandma Barbara was lovely. Honestly, what you're saying about her reminds me a lot of my grandma, who I love very, very much. And Jessica, thank you so much. As I've already said to you many times, thank you for your continued support. And then also Logan, thank you for the $10 who says, love watching your lives. That's awesome, Logan. Thank you so much for the love. That is LOGHAN. Huge shout out to Logan down below in that chat. Appreciate it. Thank you. As well as, dude, Amali. I really hope that I'm pronouncing your name right. Amali, thank you so much for the $100 on PayPal. Amali, thank you. Thank you so much for the love. That is AMALIE. Show some love to Amali down below in that comment section. Please. Thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you. Like, dude, seriously, just fucking unreal. Show some fucking love to Amali. And then Jacob, thank you for the $10. Mason, thank you for the $5. And then Ellen, thank you for the $20. She says, go get that goddamn toaster. Thank you so much, Ellen. Show some love to Ellen. And then one last time, seriously, Amali, I just read your message. I don't deserve it. And I'm so appreciative and genuinely thankful for your love. Okay. All right, guys. Feel free to send that in the Discord as well. Why do you support Trump?
First of all, if there's any kids I follow, it's one of my 5 kids, if that would be the case. Just, I'm 47 years old. I am a Trump supporter because I may not necessarily align 100% with everything, but I don't with any political figure. However, I do think he has America at the forefront of his mind.
Okay.
I think he wants to preserve the culture of America. When you lose a country, when you run a country, there's a culture that's to it. That's why people want to be here. We are the land of the free. It is the greatest country ever. And I really think that I have enough friends who see it, who say it. I have family members who are military. They still support it. So I look to these people who have a little more knowledge than me, or who've actually put their life on the line for our country, to sort of tell me how they feel, to see if what I feel is the same. And that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you think that the preservation of the culture of the United States of America would include and necessitate the president taking healthcare away from 10 million low-income Americans, defending a clear murder, broad daylight, executed at the hand of an official, of a representative of that government, an ICE agent, or refusing to abide by a court order to feed out food stamp benefits for 16 million starving children, or to actually infringe upon the on the basic values of this country, including the First, Second, 10th, 14th, and 22nd Amendment, or calling for the execution of your political opponents like Donald Trump did to 7 Democrats in Congress 6 weeks ago, or saying that you don't even know if he has to hold by the Constitution, or trying to undermine and erode the civil and electoral values and institutions of this country by denying the outcome of the 2020 election and then going on over the course with the FAKE elector scheme, or, okay, trying to argue that, no, the court that found you guilty for raping a woman was wrong and you, in fact, want that woman to be thrown in jail, or
Is there a
attempting to
question?
argue, no, this isn't a question. I'm just making a statement. Or,
Okay.
defying Congress and breaking federal law by refusing to release all of the Epstein files and arguing that no court would have the authority to force you to abide by that law, which in turn is protecting rapists, P3DO, so on and so forth. If all those things are acting in pursuit of the protection of the American culture, then I'm not
I
really
don't
sure
believe-
that.
see, here's the
Then I'm
thing,
not
I
really
don't
sure that the
believe
current
they're all
American
off.
culture is too good.
They
In fact, I
definitely
think it
all
doesn't
are
deserve
not
to be
for free.
protected.
You
In
can
fact, I'd
ignore
argue that it
That's
deserves
good.
to be
Like,
replaced.
sorry, that's good. I can overtalk you too, dude. It's fine. I understand you have the button. You can get rid of me. It's fine. It's cool. But let me say something. What I'm trying to say here is I don't align with every single thing. I do think, like the Epstein files, dude, release them all. I want everybody fried who hurts kids, who hurts people. I don't think it's right. And if it's him, I will step on the other side of the line. I will not go to the left, but I will definitely say, put him up there, put him on the wall. I don't want no part of that. Nobody really wants a part of that, but everybody just keeps playing it up like this is the only thing that exists. There are so many more things going on. Our country is in turmoil. We are probably the closest to a civil revolution. I mean, we are so close. Do you not feel it, Dean? Like, I don't know, dude. If I'm going to go back to when Charlie Kirk was killed, and I have to say that is the only time I super respected you because you came on here and you did stand up for what was right. And that is the only reason I think you're still in my feed sometimes. Our algorithms feed us to fuel us, to make us angry. It keeps you looking at what you want to see, and it doesn't let you see the other side. And I think that when I saw you say something, I was so impressed with that because you are a young man, and I do think you are extremely intelligent, and you are, if I'm going to say the exact, I don't know what the words are. I'm just an old woman here, but like the exact, what Charlie Kirk was, you're doing for your side. And I understand it. And I think it's important. I do think it is. And I really, truly think that it's important that we keep having conversations, but there have been deportations that have been happening forever, but they weren't there weren't people standing there blowing whistles, blowing in their faces. They didn't have all this contest going against them. And so now they have to try to protect themselves and get home at the end of the day and do the job that they were sought out to do. I'm not saying it's all 100% being done correctly, but I'm saying it is 100% being portrayed very incorrectly. Like,
Listen, I agree. I agree. Okay, that we've been doing deportations forever. In fact, we've been like doing wrongful deportations forever too. Okay, I'm sure that there's isolated incidents under presidents in the past of people being illegally detained, illegally
when did
deported.
the cages happen?
Can you please?
When did the families with the cages
I let
happen?
you speak for a very long time. I waited
Yes,
for you
go
to
ahead,
finish.
go
Can
ahead.
you allow me to finish at this point now too?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I could agree that deportations have been happening forever. I could agree that we've even seen isolated incidents of wrongful deportations happening forever and inhumane deportations happening forever. Okay, but like what we genuinely haven't seen before is a state-sanctioned, not just attack on immigrants, but an attack on the law to then attack the immigrants. I've never seen a president in my goddamn life, okay, belligerently and intentionally pass illegal, unconstitutional executive orders to systemically strip citizenship away from those in which were born here so then they could legally classify them as the prey of the predator of the institution of Homeland Security to then be detained and deported to Sica in El Salvador where they're beaten, tortured, and starved. If you don't take issue with this, then I don't think that you have what it takes to engage in American politics coherently and responsibly. It is a massive, massive issue, okay, for Trump to be passing executive orders to take birthright citizenship away from the children born to undocumented immigrants on American soil, to then subject them to the terror of deportation at the hands of ICE to Sica where they're tortured. And if you can't agree to that, then I very much so question the moral quote unquote principles in which you claim to stand on. On top of that, okay, I've never seen any other president in my lifetime, okay, argue that the broad daylight murder of an American citizen at the hand of an ICE agent was self-defense and that they were domestic terrorists. I've never seen another president in my lifetime do any of these things and more. And just in reference to the start of your last statement, you're saying, well, if Donald Trump, harmed anyone, harmed kids, okay, then you would stop supporting him as president, okay, and you'd be somewhere in the middle, not necessarily a Democrat. He has, and I'm not even talking about in reference to anything that we know about the Epstein files. I'm talking about in reference to things that we've known for years at this point. In 2005, he boasted, okay, about unconsensually following women and girls into their dressing rooms to look at them while they're naked, dude. Like, that's sexual exploitation. You should already be out of MAGA if you truly hold to and defend this principle that you would stop supporting Trump as president if he truly perpetuated this grave, violent harm against women or girls.
Okay, so that is something I will look up because that is not something that I have heard or seen. I'll be honest with you, it's not something that's crossed and maybe it's my algorithm's not feeding me correctly, right? So it's possible, and I'm not saying I support a lot of what he's doing. I really do because I understand where it's coming from. I'm much older
Can I
than
prove
you
that too?
are. I mean, I'll listen. Yeah.
Here's Donald Trump on Howard Stern's radio show.
Okay.
Also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, tell me
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything is
a doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
That sounds like locker room talk, right?
Exactly my point. You put the mask on. You claim to be a reasonable, sensible, normal American, okay, that obviously condemns sexual violence, sexual exploitation, and would stop supporting somebody if they were to engage in it because you don't stand for that harm against people. But then as soon as I'm able to prove that something that your favorite president, Mr. Trump, is engaged in, you quickly turn around, you take the mask off, and then you make it clear that you just merely think that sexual violence is locker room talk.
So I've worked in theatrics, and I've worked in plays, and I've worked backstage, and that is precisely what happens. Sometimes the people do come in. He just happened to talk about it. People don't always talk about it. I have been back there where we are changing, girls are changing, boys are changing. It really doesn't matter. Anybody is back there changing to be part of this production, and you're sort of dropping and going if you have a real quick set to go back out to. So yes.
Do you know what this production was?
What?
Women and girls pageants. beauty pageants just for women and girls. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and accept the testimony of the 99% over the 0.1% that says, oh, like little girls will just get naked and change in front of grown men and this is normal and natural. First and foremost, if that was normal, this just means that there's an issue the industry as a whole, and the industry is exploitive by nature, including all of the bad actors in which would engage in it, including Trump. But I want to clarify, no, this wasn't fucking normal. No. Okay, the women and girls had their own private dressing rooms, okay, that was designed solely for them. This is why inside of that clip, Donald Trump says there was no men around. And this is why Donald Trump has to appeal to the position of power that he held as the owner of the pageant to allow himself in. If it was just normal, natural, and whoop-de-doo, anyone could go in and out, okay, then we wouldn't expect there to be no men around, okay, and we wouldn't expect Donald Trump to have to be the owner of the pageant to enter into that space under the guise of doing an inspection.
Because of the, like, what do you want him to do now?
Yeah. Well, I want you to stop supporting him, since you said that's exactly what you would do if I could prove that he committed this type of harm against women or girls.
I'm talking if he's hurting people.
You only would care about sexual violence that he engaged in if it was with Jeffrey Epstein. But if he engaged in sexual violence without Jeffrey Epstein, then you don't really care too much.
But Dean, can we take this back? So is that not the same? So can we cross this into the, or is it too much to cross this into like sort of trans?
Yeah, that'd be a bad idea for you.
Why?
Because you said when Trump did it, it was normal and natural, but then you take an issue when trans women go into women's restrooms, not to sexually exploit the people inside of the space, but rather just to take a fucking piss. Okay, you made it the largest issue of the 2024 election. The Republican Party, the RNC, spent over $300 million on anti-trans marketing, on anti-trans ads targeting less than 1% of our population to then justify not just harming that 1%, but 100% of the population by passing the most expensive policy we've ever seen our Congress pass before to then take healthcare away from 10 million low-income Americans and threaten to invade our allied countries and the destruction of the UN and NATO. But then apparently when Donald Trump does it, it's normal, natural, fine, and it's expected. I would highly recommend that you do not make a false equivalence to what Donald Trump did to those women and girls to trans women going inside of the women's restroom, because now all of a sudden I better start hearing you say, well, it's completely normal and natural and just perfectly fine for trans women to use women's spaces, which has once again been like one of the core tenets that the RNC has been rallying against in modern American history.
Why do you think he won?
Well, I think that he won for a lot of reasons. Not super relevant to you responding to your own hypocrisy, regardless if the hypocrisy that you're responding to is on the first basis of you stating that you would no longer support him as president if it was the case he harmed women or girls, and I proved it, and you're like, oh, it's just locker room talk. Or that second bit of hypocrisy of rallying against trans people to the extent of taking their rights away to join the military, not deeming them as fucking people, but while in the same breath saying that, well, when a cis man does it, not to use the restroom, but to sexually exploit, it's perfectly fine, normal, and natural. I want you to respond to either of those 2 points of hypocrisy before I attempt to give you my insight insofar as why I believe that Donald Trump won the last election.
Because he was talking about walking into the area where they were. He was not talking about putting his hands on him. He wasn't talking about, it didn't say who's saying, hey, he made me uncomfortable. Like, that's what I'm talking about. You're adding more to the story.
So if a male teacher at a high school followed a 16-year-old high school student into the women's restroom, peeped over the door to look at her vagina, that's fine?
I guess if he says he's a woman.
Oh, okay. I guess if he says he's a woman. So first and foremost, no, A, being a trans woman doesn't mean that you're a man that says they're a woman. And B, no, A, trans woman or cis woman, if they're a teacher at a high school, can't walk into a woman's restroom and peek their head over the stall to then look at the private parts of the person using the restroom. So stop engaging in these like one-dimensional, like shitty-ass talking points that you got off of Facebook and Telegram to deflect away from the meat on the bone. Answer the damn fucking question. Okay, if a man followed a 16-year-old high schooler into the woman's restroom at that high school, peeked his head over the stall to then look at their private genitalia, do you see that as fine because he's not physically touching them? The same way Donald Trump would just follow these women and girls into their private spaces where they got naked to then get dressed at Miss Teen USA, Miss USA. Feel free to unmute your mic.
Okay, to work. No, no, it's not okay. I'm not saying it's okay.
So now you get it. You're saying that it was merely locker room talk that you don't really care about because he wasn't physically touching them. But then as soon as it's about a male teacher at high school, you get it. Exactly. No. I know that you have the rational as a mother of 5, as you stated. I know that you innately possess the rational faculties required to reason your way to the conclusion that it is wrong for men to follow women into spaces designed for them to look at them while they're naked. All I have to do in order to just get you to like demonstrate these rational faculties for us is to take this scenario and then supplement Trump for any other man. Okay? Now I want you to hold that same energy that you'd hold against any other man against the adjudicated rapist, against the 34 count felon, against the guy that sexualized a 10-year-old girl, against the guy that said his own daughter was sexually attractive, and against the guy that publicly boasted about how funny it was when he walked into the women and girls dressing rooms while they were naked and then look at their naked bodies.
What I was saying is that it is when I'm in a production, people who run the show do come back there. That is what I'm talking about. Those are not the same scenarios. He wasn't going in there just to look, just to try to see private parts. He's running around, hey, looking around, making things right. This is not like
I don't
the
believe
show
you.
he's running that he's in charge of.
Actually, check this out. I'm going to ask you for evidence. What is your empirical and demonstrable evidence, okay, that at women and girls beauty pageants, okay, it is an industry expectation that if a man is running that pageant, he has the right to go into the women and girl private spaces where they get naked whenever they want?
I couldn't tell you because I am not 100% sure. I just know how it goes on a smaller scale for things that I've done or worked on.
So you don't have any evidence of that. And no, by the way, no, even at like high school plays and whatnot, even at high school plays and whatnot, no, it's not true that if there's like a man that's like running the theater department, that man does not have the right to then like follow the girls into their dressing rooms when they're getting naked. That's not true.
See, everybody sort of tries to cover so that you're not openly naked. I think everybody has a little bit of like, they cover themselves. Now, there are quick changes. There 100% are, but they do come to the door and say, hey, you're up next. Like,
for quick
you
changes,
know
they typically have like a shirt and shorts under. Or if it's a quick change where they don't have a shirt and shorts under, okay, well then A, they're usually adults, B, they're consenting to the fact that other people may see them, and then C, this is still not promoted in the sense that a man could just walk back there to be sexually promiscuous to look at them while they're naked. Okay, minors in theatrical events do not do quick changes where they strip naked, okay, even if it's like panties and a bra in front of grown men. That's just not something that happens.
No, you're not pandering to them, no. But like I said, people can walk in, have walked in.
I disagree with you. I don't think that people can walk in. I think that they can't. I think that that's wrong. I think that right now you're justifying scenarios of like adult men looking at the naked bodies of children. That's fucked.
No, I'm not trying to justify it. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. That's not a thing to like. But you're
yes,
just
it is
dwelling
because
on
you're saying that they can walk in.
They can.
No. It's supposed to be they do and it's wrong, not that they can and it's right. Okay.
No, if they can't, I won't say that. Dean, I'll give you that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that they can and it's right. I'm just saying it can happen. Yeah, it does suck.
Okay, rape can happen and it sucks. Okay, sexual violence can happen and it sucks. Murder can happen and it sucks. Kidnapping can happen and it sucks. So I just want to make this clear. You're saying that you don't really care that Donald Trump engaged in what is seemingly sexual exploitation because it can happen. Okay, well, so then you shouldn't really care that Jeffrey Epstein raped a bunch of kids because it can happen. You shouldn't really care that Diddy beat his girlfriend because it can happen. You shouldn't really care, okay, that Bill Cosby date rape people because it can happen. You shouldn't really care that older men in many countries, including many states in America, will marry 14-year-old girls because it can happen.
God, dude. No. Yeah, I know what you do, and I knew I was gonna fall into this, and it's fine, but that's not what I'm saying. He wasn't in there stroking it. Like, he walked in. His own words. What did he say he was doing?
Yeah, he walked into a space that he was not allowed to be in because it is a private woman's dressing room to then specifically look at women while they were naked without their consent, amounting to unconsensual sexual conduct. And then his takeaway is that they looked really good.
Go, car. Sorry, I had to kick a kid out. No, I disagree. I disagree. I think he's talking about walking into a space. I think he's talking about what he saw walking into the space. It doesn't necessarily point to, I know what you want it to point towards, but just because you get 100 people who agree with you there doesn't mean that that's exactly what it was.
Okay, I'm going to repeat this. I want you to tell me. I want you to cut me off when I start getting it wrong, okay?
Okay.
Donald Trump, okay, walked in to a private women's only space, okay, at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA, where there were women and girls inside of that space that were getting naked to change. After walking into this private women's only space when there's no men around, where women and girls were getting naked to change, he then would look at their naked bodies and he said they looked beautiful. Where did I get it wrong?
No, I guess you didn't.
Okay, so that was an okay. Let's replay it. Now that you've agreed that everything in that statement was true, let's quickly replay that statement. And let's just evaluate it to see if it's a good statement or a bad statement, okay? Oh my god, my
You
YouTube's
see all
being
the
so
messages.
laggy.
Your viewers are nasty.
They can be
The
nasty.
messages I'm getting are absolutely just disgusting.
I would argue that a lot of the things you're saying on this live are absolutely just disgusting. But in that same
Okay,
breath,
well,
I will suggest to the viewers to please not send messages to the guest, okay?
Oh, there's tons.
Okay, let's play that last statement back.
Absolutely just
There we go.
disgusting.
If it's treated bodies and it's when there's no that we're getting 19 USA walked in, okay? Okay, so the following statement is something that you agreed to be true.
Okay.
Donald Trump, okay, walked in to a private women's only space, okay, at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA, where there were women and girls inside of that space that were getting naked to change. After walking into this private women's only space when there's no men around, where women and girls were getting naked to change, he then would look at their naked bodies and he said they looked beautiful. So earlier, oh, she left. She knew she was cooked. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. That's really fucking nasty, dude. That's really nasty, dude. She was defending that shit, man. Oh my God. Their minds are rotted. Matthew, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat, who says, damn, Dean, you're looking big. Thank you, Matthew. New PR goals. You are turning into a creatine Caucasian. Creatine Caucasian. That's funny. I actually don't take creatine. It really hurts my tummy. Fun fact. But I am in the gym. Thank you so much for the $10. Shout out to you. All right, let's go to get that next guest loaded up into the box, y'all. Only up instead of that queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Donald J. Trump as president. We got that next guest loading up in here right now. Harley Morris is connecting and tuning in. Perfect. While Harvey is joining, I'd also like to quickly thank Leah. Thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you, Leah. Let's get 200 Leah W's. Leah with the $20 says, trans woman here, agree with you 100%. If the radical Republicans were so concerned about the transgender woman going into a bathroom, maybe they would worry about Donald Trump first, who assaulted E. Jean Carroll and creeped on women at Miss USA. Yup. Thank you so much for the $20. And for the absolute truth nuke of the hour, huge shout out to Leah in that chat. Hey, Harvey, do you support Trump?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Cool, man. I'll pass you the mic here in a second. I just want to catch up with a couple donos real quick. Justin, thank you for $5. I appreciate you so much. Show some love to Justin. Then Bonnie, thank you so much for the $10. Who says, please play the clip of Donald Trump on that bus talking about forcefully kissing women and he can't resist beautiful women. The Access Hollywood tapes. That would have come next if she didn't run. Thank you for the $10, Bonnie. Show some love to Bonnie. Then Brody, thank you so much for the 5. And Laura, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you so much for the $75 over on PayPal. Laura, you are a gem. Thank you so much for the just incredibly undeserved kindness. I appreciate you for your continued generosity, your continued kindness, and your continued donations. Laura, seriously, like, you are an incredibly frequent name. I appreciate and love the hell out of you. Thank you so much for the kindness. Guys, please, if there's anything I could ask, let's show some love to Laura Double in that chat. Let's get 1,000 Laura W's. And then Anna, thank you for the $20 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love. Who says, when you talk to a woman about grape especially, I'd continue to ask them if they think it'd be okay if it were their daughter, to really drive the point home. Cook 'em, Dean. Yeah, like, would she be okay with that if it was her daughter in that dressing room? Like, hopefully not, right? Thank you for the $20, Anna. Let's get 200 Anna W's. Then Lauren, thank you for the $5. Megan, thank you for the $5. Then Kimber with the $10, who says, Dean, here's a little something. Always admiring you. Kimber, it's good to see you. Thank you for the $10. Thena with the $10, who says, quote unquote, locker room talk doesn't take away from the fact that he uses power to creep on women and girls. It doesn't make it okay. And this caller's a mother. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then Gina, thank you so much for the $50 donation on Venmo. Holy shit, Gina, thank you. Thank you so much. That is Geena. Show some fucking love to Gina in that chat, who says, here's my monthly anti-MAGA tutoring fee. Gina, you are a gem. Gina the gem. Thank you so much for the $50. That is a shit ton of money. It goes a very long way here in Small Grand Junction, Colorado. So seriously, thank you so much for your kindness. Show some love to Gina down below. And then Lauren, thank you for the $10. Let's get 100 Lauren W's. And then Jeffrey, thank you for the $10, who says, the Necessary Conversation host got a super chat that requested you join as a guest debater on one of their episodes. If you haven't heard this yet, I wanted you to say something because it would be sick. I don't even know who they are. I will look into them. And then Logan, thank you so much for the 10. And it looks like we're all caught up for now. Go ahead and take it away, Mr. Mr. Harley, why the hell do you support Trump?
Thanks, brother. Well, first of all, I just want to say, I did vote for Trump. It was my first time voting in 2024. And I relate more to the lady who was on here who said, that she grew up very MAGA, with her family and whatnot. But one thing I want to touch on is a comment that you had made. It was a TikTok video talking about the ICE agent who. Is it okay if we talk about ICE
Yeah.
in a MAGA stand? Okay. So, and I'm mainly talking about it because number one, I didn't know the full story, and number two, I don't really agree with it. But I think it has something to do with a prisoner.
Yeah.
So
a detainee, Geraldo Campos.
Okay. So basically, after I saw that video of you, I kind of did a little bit of my own research. Can you I'm just trying to ask, where did you see the full evidence of how that transcribed, how that went down?
Washington Post. So I'm going to share with you the facts about Geraldo Lunos Campos, and then I'm going to share with you a second fact, because if you notice on my TikTok account, that video got taken down. But anyways, so the Washington Post reported 4 days ago, okay, that Geraldo Lunos Campos was a detainee of ICE held in an ICE detention somewhere. An ICE detention center somewhere. I don't know where it is. And then Gerardo Lunos Campos died inside of this detention center. Following his death, the other detainee in the same cell as him reported that he witnessed multiple ICE agents choke him to death. Then the medical examiner, of course, did an autopsy of his body, and they concluded that this was likely homicide due to asphyxiation of the neck by choking. At that point in time, I then turned around and I made a video on it. Super outraged because I just read that article on my phone. This was not too far after, Renee Good had been murdered by ICE agent Jonathan Ross in Minnesota. So I was very frustrated, very upset. I made that video just reporting the facts I shared with you, then saying that this has to stop, calling on our congressmen and women to fucking do something. However, after this news broke, well, it also broke that Gerardo Lunos Campos is a convicted child rapist. At that point in time, I then took the video down because I think if we want to center, the violence that we've seen from ICE, the lawlessness, I guess the extrajudicial killings like Renee Good, Keith Porter, so on and so forth, that we should probably center people who weren't raping children, because in all reality, I don't really care, okay, when a child rapist dies. I don't really care when a child rapist gets killed. I think that they got, less than they deserved, because I think that nothing is worse than child rape. And those are the facts.
Right. Okay. Last question I have for you, Dean. So going back on ICE and, the border, how do you think that... Hold on a second, I'm trying to think. What is the difference between Kamala Harris's job as her vice president, portfolio to protect and deport? How do you think that differs from what Donald Trump's been doing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll just, I could definitely share this with you. So first and foremost, the deportation operations that we would see taking place under a Harris administration would be centered around undocumented immigrants with prior violent criminal offenses or just pretty insidious nonviolent criminal offenses. This was a very strong talking point and strong action of the Biden-Harris administration. In fact, they disproportionately deported more undocumented immigrants with those prior violent criminal offenses than Donald Trump has done in the last year, even though in the last year he's deported the most undocumented immigrants out of any year in modern American history. Second of all, they'd continue to reasonably uphold work permits and different programs like DACA for undocumented immigrants who have not been convicted of violent criminal offenses or pretty insane / hideous nonviolent criminal offenses, so on and so forth, because they are productive members of society that I believe should stay here. In fact, we might have even seen work towards amnesty. There was proposed legislation under the Biden-Harris administration to actually give some undocumented immigrants amnesty, to give them residency, to give them citizenship. But of course, it got shut down. So maybe under a Kamala Harris administration, we would have seen that work continue. But I don't believe that we would have seen, extrajudicial killings at the hands of ICE agents that were then defended by the state. I don't think that we would have seen mass amounts of undocumented immigrants deported with no due process to a center for terrorists in El Salvador, where they're then beaten and tortured. I don't think that we would have seen the mass villainization of all immigrants. You know, the same way Donald Trump will say they're all gang members, they've all escaped mental institutions, they've all escaped asylums, so on and so forth. And I just think that those outcomes would have A, been significantly better in respect to the human and constitutional rights of the immigrants, and B, significantly better in respect to the social and moral fabric of the country, and C, significantly better in respect to the economic outcomes due to the productivity generated by undocumented immigrants in the workforce.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I didn't really expect all that. That's all right. So touching back on Renee Good in that whole situation, I just have a question. So you said you're from Colorado, right?
Yeah, but I'd like to debate you if you happen to have a claim insofar as why you think that Trump is a good president.
Give me a talking point.
Yeah, it was just a general one. Why do you support Trump as president?
Mainly my biggest support towards Trump is, and somebody already said it, it's just mainly his way of seeing the future of America. And I do think as a young person that America is getting soft, and it's really hard to function as a young adult because all we see is this big agenda on the like on the left side of just like, I don't know. I just feel like I grew up in a very, West Virginia. So like very Republican, very, just I'm trying to think of the words. I'm not a very good public speaker. So
yeah, for sure. I'll let you continue down this argument, but I do just want to like point out here. I think the only differences that I've like personally experienced in my own change from like being a MAGA conservative at like 14, 15, 16 to now being a very progressive liberal at the age of 21 is that it's like wrong to bully people. It's wrong to hold prejudice against people. And
right.
it's wrong to like use slurs and to be an asshole / misogynist,
Right.
etc. Like I don't really think like those values are getting soft. In fact, I'd just argue that those values make you a better, stronger man. Not only for society but also for yourself. Trust me, it increases your sex appeal to not hate the people who you want to have sex with, right? So it's beneficial to everyone.
Right.
But I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back. Parker's gonna cover me while I'm gone. Parker, I really appreciate you. Parker, the claim that he's working on making right now is that he supports Trump because of his future vision for America, and he believes that the left has made people soft. Now, for everyone watching on TikTok, on YouTube, I'll be right back. Just gonna go pee real quick. See y'all in like a minute tops.
What does it mean for something to be soft?
I mean, my personal views is a lot of the people that in this country nowadays that are sitting at home, living off the country or living off the government are dominantly Democratic people.
So why does the funding disproportionately go to red states?
What funding specifically?
Yeah, like Democratic states disproportionately fund red states because disproportionately the states that are the worst off are states that are red states, like economically speaking. So a lot of huge Democratic states fund like the red states from a federal standpoint.
But again, still just going back, like there's just, again, as I was telling Dean, there's so much of like this, I'm not a homophobe in any way, but it's like there's just so much more work and determination and just all of these values as an American that I don't see coming from the left side, and I just don't. And I don't think
What specific values? You're saying hard work? You don't think that there's hard work on the left?
I think there is. I think there is from both sides, but like a lot of these issues that get brought up on mainstream media.
I don't know. I think that historically the left has been the people doing the hard work. Okay, who put the legwork in to get a woman's right to vote in the 1920s? Progressive women. I mean, who put the legwork in for civil rights movements, even in many circumstances, losing their lives in those fights? Okay, progressive, disproportionately black people. Okay, who put the legwork in an attempt to end segregation? Once again, progressive, disproportionately black people. Who put the legwork in? Okay, to ensure that women had the right to report rape in the context of marriage on the federal scale. Once again, disproportionately progressive women. So I mean, it's just like this whole narrative that people on the left don't know hard work. People on the left are soft. This and that. I feel like some of the hardest and most strenuous efforts that we've seen exerted by Americans in American history have been from progressive, marginalized people.
And you're probably 100% right about that, but the problem is that there's just and another bad thing I feel like with just public schools in general is that there's not enough education to back anything that's going on in the real world, and as you go up through adulthood.
Did you know that you're voting for politicians that are defunding schools to a greater extent? Because Trump wanted to abolish the Department of Education. You understand that those are federal protection rights, education rights for students across the entire United States that will not be applied to the same extent because of the fact that he's imposed this, which disproportionately negatively impacts red states.
It negatively you said it negatively impacts the red states?
Yeah, disproportionately, because the red states don't keep up a lot of these programs, right? And despite of the federal government not providing them.
Alrighty, Dean. I think I'm gonna hop off here, brother. I really appreciate your time. I just
Bye-bye.
I
Thank you,
don't feel as though I just am not as educated as you are, so I don't feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, hopefully you tune into the streams, dude. Appreciate you for coming up. And Parker, thank you so much for coming up and covering me while I use the restroom. Dude, show some love to Parker down below in that chat while we're looking for that next Trump supporter to come up here and to give us a piece of their mind. Guys, keep in mind that we're only looking for American adults to support Trump. Hey, are you MAGA?
I'm leaning more towards the right.
How old are you?
I'm freshly 18.
When's your birthday?
2007.
What month?
May.
Okay. All right. All right. 1 second. Let me thank a couple people here. Hey, Mr. McSkittles VR. Thank you for the $10. Who says, maybe when they can't articulate their points or views, it's because they have been brainwashed by parents and the society around them. And they don't actually believe what they're claiming. And that's a lot of them. Thank you so much, Skittles. And then Link, thank you so much for the $100 Australian over on YouTube. Dude, Link, thank you. Thank you so much, Link. Show some love to Link down below in that chat, folks. Link with the $100 Australian says, hey, Dean, with that mother, it made me so sick due to the fact that I have a newborn myself, so I literally had to take a break from the live. Apart from that, MAGA is just a cult. Dude, yeah, that lady was in and out of here pretty quickly because, I mean, she lost a debate, crashed out, then left. But yeah, I hate hearing that shit, especially from fucking parents, dude. Especially from parents. Thank you for the $100 Australian Link. Please show some love to Link down below. Seriously, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Show some fucking love to Link. And then Lana, thank you for the $10. She says, thank you for speaking out so definitively for women and girls. Well, I appreciate you for that love, Lana. 100 Lana W's. Let's also get 200 Joy W's for the $20 donation on Venmo. I hope you're doing well, Joy. Joy says that woman who's squealing protecting Trump wouldn't believe her own daughter if she was essayed by him. She was also disgusting to me, bro. She was so fucking disgusting, Joy. Thank you for the $20. And then Margaret, good to see you again. Thank you for the $25 on Venmo. Margaret, you were fantastic. Thank you. Dude, let's get 250 Margaret W's. Margaret literally just says, thank you. Well, thank you for the continued love. Shout out to you. And then Hayden, thank you for the $15 over on Venmo. Hayden, I just read your message to myself. Thank you so much for your kind words, and I'm happy that you're enjoying this stream. Shout out to Margaret. Shout out to Hayden. Brielle, thank you so much for the $5. Abby, thank you for the $5. Then Garrett, thank you for the $5. We're all caught up over there. Over on PayPal, real quick, Erica, thank you so much for the $30 on PayPal, who says 1000% talking to the necessary convo Dad, he is the worst of the worst, and I scream a lot of your arguments I've learned through the screams watching at my TV while watching their pod. They brought in a fam therapist once, and it was wild to hear the dad's thoughts afterwards. Appreciate you. Oh shit! Is the necessary convo that guy with his super MAGA parents? Where they will just kind of talk to one another? I think I have seen that before. Oh, I would totally go on the necessary conversation. Thank you for the $30, Erica. Show some love to Erica down below in that down below in that comment section. I'll have to reach out to them. Thank you so much, Erica. Show some love to Erica. And we're all caught up. If you're watching and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio on TikTok. Pin message over in that YT stream. And the handle's actually at the top of this phone screen. I get 100% of those proceeds. You could attach a message and I will try my best to read it off on live. I appreciate you all so much for the continued love. Also, guys, for everybody in the chat spamming that she's 17, 2007 is 18 and her account is private. I don't think that there's any other identifying information. Literally none of y'all have any evidence to indicate that she is 17. But of course, that evidence arises. Feel free to give it to me and we'll remove her. Okay, thank you so much for your patience, Lexi. Take it away.
So my voice might shake. I'm extremely scared of talking like on lives and stuff.
That means that I might be able to change your mind easier because that's indicative of a higher level of intelligence. You know, I actually ask myself, why do so many people that join the stream come up here in complete reckless disregard to the fact that they're speaking on a stage in front of like nearly 30,000 people sometimes? Like any reasonable person should like be like relatively like nervous and shaky when they're hopping on stage in front of this much people for the first time. You know, like I remember when I first started doing these lives, I was joining Parker and he had like 1,000 people watching and I was so shaky. But anyways, take it away. I completely understand.
Yeah, like my hands are shaking right now. But I really need help. I was raised MAGA and to always support the right. But my dad's no longer in my life because of things that are happening currently. And he's still trying to say that I'm MAGA. I'm leaning more towards right and left at the same time. It's definitely a bit more right than left. But
how about this? Let's start here. Oh, well, actually, go ahead and continue. I apologize for interrupting you. Go ahead.
The reason why I'm leaning more towards left sometimes is because some of the things people say. He is a very disgusting man. He said he was going to rape a baby and kill a baby when he was watching your live. I've been trying to get him up here so he can debate you. And
I wouldn't debate that. Sorry.
Sorry. Shit, I'm so sorry. I don't really know what to say. But I just need help getting more towards the left.
First and foremost, are you safe?
I'm no longer in his custody. I'm not living with my parents right now. So, yeah, I would say so.
Good. Because that sounds like an incredibly unsafe environment.
Oh, yeah, he's a dick. He's not a good man at all.
Yeah. No, I could tell. Sure. Well, I guess let's have a conversation about politics. Well,
Okay.
We could have a good one. So what are the biggest issues that matter to you that make yourself consider yourself right-leaning?
So it's more so when Biden was in office, when I feel like he let a bit more immigrants or what do you say? I forgot.
Undocumented
I'm sorry.
immigrants?
Yeah, undocumented immigrants. I feel like he definitely let a bit more in than Trump. But yeah.
Okay. Well, there definitely was many more undocumented immigrants that came into America under the Biden-Harris administration than there is now. And I definitely understand how you and many others have come to form the conclusion that Biden was a really bad president for immigration because of the assumption that he let them in or he could have prevented them from coming in, like he could have done significantly more. Because that has been a talking point parroted by Fox News, Newsmax, everyone on the right, and Trump included, for eons now. And I bet growing up in a MAGA family household, you've also heard that point interpersonally forever. So at this point, just because you've heard it repeated so many times and on like the surface level with not much else exploration, there was a lot of undocumented immigrants that came under Biden, how you could form that opinion. Now, here's the reasons why I dispute that opinion. Let's just focus on the facts. First and foremost, there was an environment propagated in America under the Biden-Harris administration that was conducive for a lot of immigration, and this environment was not caused by Biden. In fact, it was caused by the pandemic and Trump, and let me explain. So people immigrate when they feel like their material conditions where they're living now are worse than they could be if they were to live somewhere else. This is why immigration has always happened all throughout human history. And when the pandemic hit, it really hurt global economies. I mean, we experienced this here in America, all-time high unemployment, all-time high inflation. It was crazy, right? But it actually hit the economies of countries south of America much harder than it hit our own. Many of these countries had their economies nearly completely destroyed, and poverty and starvation was just ravishing their people. So that fact alone gave so much incentive to so many people to then want to immigrate into America. Now, what was the second fact that propagated a lot of undocumented entry? Well, when the pandemic hit and a lot of people wanted to immigrate into America, we had this public health emergency of the pandemic, and we thought that maybe having more people immigrated into America would maybe cause there to be less herd immunity, cause there to be more deaths from COVID, more transmission. So our government implemented something called Title 42, which temporarily barred all immigration into this country, legal or illegal, while COVID was in effect. And see, the thing is that went into place under Trump and then expired at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration. So now at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration, we now have these two variables of a bunch of people wanting to immigrate into America because of the pandemic. And then we have a bunch of people that are already backlogged in the legal means of entry because of Title 42. And this environment is going to cause undocumented immigration. Okay? Because the legal systems are unattainable. The lines are years and years long because of the massive backlog from Title 42. And we just have all these people all at once that want to come in. So then ultimately, we have like a record high level of incentive for undocumented immigration at all. And then on top of that record high level of incentive for undocumented immigration at all because of the pandemic and Title 42, you then had Donald Trump going on Newsmax, Fox News, Instagram, Twitter, social media, Truth Social, and saying the border is wide open. Biden is letting everyone through. Anyone could just waltz through the border. So when we compiled those factors of the pandemic, Title 42, Trump saying that the border was wide open, we then had a massive surge of undocumented entry in. And then what was Biden's response? Biden's response was to say, well, immediately we need to work on bipartisan border legislation to make the legal means of entry much more tenable than they already are so we could cut down and reduce undocumented entry. Once that bill got bipartisan support from Republicans that were Trump endorsed and Democrats, Donald Trump then called all the Republicans in Congress and told them to kill that bill. To recap everything we've gone over so far, we start off with the massive incentive for a bunch of undocumented entry, Title 42 expiring, the pandemic, and then Donald Trump saying the border is wide open. And then when Biden tried to respond to that, to prevent that, to stop that, Donald Trump then thwarted his attempt to respond by telling all the Republicans in Congress to vote against his bipartisan border bill. And I believe that is why we saw such a big issue of all this undocumented immigration into America under Biden.
All right. That I don't really know how to respond to that, but thank you for telling me that. Now I'm a little bit more informed of what happened and what's going on. But I don't really know what to talk about. I'm so sorry. Like I had things I wanted to bring up and then they all just flew out. Could you like bring up a topic?
Well, how about this? I honestly think that you just benefit more from watching the stream. Like you sound like you sound like a good person that's just misinformed because of your family and social conditioning. I think that you greatly benefit from like tuning in. Do you want to maybe like ask like another question or two before I move on to the next guest?
Yeah, I actually so it's a bit of an odd question, but my father has TikTok, and he uses it quite oftenly. Would you like to like try and get him up here with me? Because I can text him and be like, "Hey,
Are you sure that's what's best for your own safety?
yeah, I mean, I have to leave the live, but I'll watch it later if he gets up in here. Um, he I'm not going to give you the backstory, but I have a restraining order against him. So, would you like to talk to him about like the whole like
I'm gonna be
fetus
honest.
thing? He's extremely like MAGA, like all that.
You said that he said that he wanted to kill babies.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely not. I apologize, but I just
I'm so sorry.
I do have a line, you know. But I hope you have a good rest of your day. And take care, okay?
Okay, have fun.
Yeah, take care. All right, let's go ahead and get that next guest loaded up into the box, y'all. Only up instead of the queue if you happen to be MAGA. Please follow our rules. Also, everyone in the chat spamming 5 mil. We did hit 5 mil on the 300th episode. It's now the 304th. Yes, we hit 5 mil 4 days ago, everyone. What's up, Tammy? Do you support Trump?
We are Charlie Kirk.
Damn, they're kind of hitting that. Talented fetus. Okay, moving on to the next guest. Everyone, only up instead of the queue if you're MAGA. Please follow our rules. And by the way, if you want to support me, want to support the stream, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio. In fact, we have a couple people to thank right now. Miss Mallory, thank you for the 15 Canadian dollars on PayPal. Huge shout out to you. Let's get 150 Mallory W's. Who says thank you so much for doing the work that all the for all the Lexis out there. Nothing short of proud of Lexi for coming to talk to you. Well, thank you so much for the love. And then Melissa, thank you for the $10. Who says don't need to read out loud. Okay. All right, you got it. I will keep that to myself, Melissa. Thank you for the $10. Shout out to Melissa and Mallory. And then Anne, thank you for the $5. Shout out to you. And then Shannon, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Shannon with the 20 on Venmo says, thank you, Dean, for all that you do. We do much better without the Democratic Republican label, which is triggering for people. Yeah, into the two-party system, right? Ranked choice voting, right? Thank you for the $20, Shannon. Let's get 200 Shannon W's. And we're all caught up. Howdy, Jonathan, do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Howdy, yo.
How old am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 40.
You're 40. Okay. All right, Jonathan. And you're a big Christian guy?
I'm a Christian guy, yeah.
Is it Christian to want to like stop all Muslim immigration into America, or would Jesus sit across the table from everyone, including Muslims?
No, I don't think it's bad to stop Muslims from coming in, but I think just stop what they're trying to do. That's about it.
So it's bad to stop Muslims from coming in? I'm not clear on your response. I don't know if you said
No,
I
no,
don't think it's bad.
No, I think it's okay to let anybody into America, but not. But if they're trying to, if their belief says to take over America and try to make it a Muslim state, I think that's the part that we should say, hey, you guys can come, but you guys can't do that.
So not all Muslims believe in taking over America. Fun fact.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like saying just like not all Christians are real Christians. Like not all Christians actually obey the Bible. But if a Muslim does not believe to take over America, that means they're not going according to their book, because their book specifically says that.
Okay, then you're not a real Christian because your book specifically says slavery is okay and you don't believe that slavery is okay. No, it's called having different interpretations, my friend.
No, Old Testament, New Testament, in the Quran, there's no Old Testament.
Wow, look at you. You're trying to find a way to interpret the Bible in such a way that does not entail the conclusion that slavery is wrong. All right, this is going to be super easy to go over. I don't understand why I have this conversation so many times, okay? So there are fundamentalist sects of all major religions that hold to an interpretation of their holy scripture that leads them to be bad people. This is not just true of Christianity. This is not just true of Islam, and this is not just true of Judaism. It's true of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. However, the fundamentalist sects of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, okay, all account for a minority of the overall followers of the religions. In the same way, there's a lot of very good Christians who use it as a symbol of peace and love, hope and respect for others, and a salvation and eternal life. There's also a lot of benevolent Muslims who do the same thing, and a lot of benevolent Jewish individuals who do the same thing. It's incredibly wrongful and incredibly bigoted, okay, to truly look at the fundamentalist sect of Muslims, argue that, well, because there's some fundamentalists that follow Islam, that therefore all Muslims are wrong, and if they don't hold to that fundamentalist sect, then they're in the wrong. Because very similarly, I can make this false equivalence to Christianity, arguing that there's some particular fundamentalist sects of Christianity, you know, people that believe GAY individuals should be stoned, slavery can be okay under limited circumstances because that's moral law, and about a billion other things, and argue, well, if you don't think that we should literally stone GAY people, and if you don't literally think that it's okay for, an Israelite to enslave a non-Israelite, then you're not really a Christian.
Okay. So, okay, cool. So, yeah, you kind of just went off there for a long time. Not sure how to respond to that. You said a whole lot.
Well, the way that you respond is just by conceding.
Okay, so as I was saying, in the Quran, they only have, there's not an Old Testament or New Testament in the Quran, because, and the reason why the Muslims accuse the Christians is because they said that our God has changed, and they said that their God never changes. So then my debate back to them is, well, if your God never changes, so then that means you guys still do lamb sacrifices for your sins, and then you must still believe that you must kill the infidel, right? Because of fitna, which means the temptation of the unbeliever being alive. So then they kind of jump back to, well, I talked to my hadith about that. So then you
Right,
talk to them.
you're right now. What you're doing right now is actually support of my position here. You are explaining a debate over the interpretation of Islamic scripture, where it is just a descriptive fact that many Muslims do not believe in any seemingly immoral verses that you would be able to describe are true of the scripture. In the same way, I could describe a debate with you that I've had with many Christians, where Christians will hold to a benevolent interpretation of the Bible that does not conclude that they would hold to seemingly immoral verses in the Bible. The same thing is true of all religions.
No, obviously you're not familiar with the Muslim faith or the Christianity faith if you're saying what you're saying. Obviously not. Because basically what you're saying is totally
ad hom, bro. Just give a counter argument.
Okay, once again, the Muslims specifically accuse the Christians that we have a God that changes. That's what they say. And they say, does God change? And then they say, no, God does not change. And they say, then why do you guys have a God that changes? Because it is very clear in the Bible that God makes a new covenant with the house of Israel. Just like you say in the Bible that God said you can kill in the Old Testament, God would tell David to go kill the Amalekites. In the New Testament, Jesus said to turn the other cheek if someone slaps you in the other cheek. So obviously you see a change in the New Testament. Old Testament is very, very clear. Well, in the Quran, there is no New Testament. There is no new way of things with God. They still have the same exact book. And they say that our book hasn't changed. We don't change it. We still stick to the original scripture. So then we say, well, if that's the case, then are you guys still unaliving believers? As the Quran says, there's no New Testament Quran. You guys just have the one Quran. It's kind of like having the Old Testament Quran, but there's no New Testament that says to love your enemies. That's my point. That's very,
once again, it is just crazy how you don't understand how what
No, you don't
justifies
understand.
my argument. I'm going to try
What's
to
your
explain
argument?
to you one last time how what you're saying justifies my argument. You just described a debate between a Christian and a Muslim, where the
Yes.
Christian is positing that the values of the Quran and the Hadiths are immoral, and then the Muslim is counter-arguing that because of my interpretation, because of my set of facts, I do not believe that the true interpretation of the Quran nor the Hadiths would guide me to be a wrongful or bad person. Perfect. Therefore, it's descriptively true that no, not all Muslims, okay, are evil. No, not all Muslims find immoralities to be the case. No, not all Muslims, okay, find it to be wrong to be a follower of Islam. In the same way, like, listen, I could describe a debate that I could honestly likely have with you between a secularist and a Christian, where I'm positing that Leviticus 25 verses 44 through 46 of the Christian Bible says slavery is okay as long as the enslaver is an Israelite and the enslaved is a non-Israelite, or that genocide in some circumstances is okay because God tells Saul and his men to genocide the Amalekites in 1 Samuel 15:3 to kill the men, women, and children, or that maybe if you even own a slave under God's moral laws described in Leviticus 25, that you could beat them, and as long as they don't die, then all of a sudden, okay, you are justified in doing so. Maybe you'll then hit that with a counter argument back, the old covenant and the new covenant. Well, then that's when I'll say, well, the only thing that was fulfilled by the old in the old covenant was the traditional and social Mosaic law, Leviticus law, but still yet the moral testament of God in the Old Testament are still true today. This is why you still honor the 10 Commandments found in Exodus, and this is why you still honor a lot of the values as described through Genesis surrounding being fruitful, multiplying, so on and so forth, okay? Right? But all that matters here is that you have an argument that I'm wrong, right? Very similar to how a lot of the Christians in the comment section are spamming out of context, out of context, out of context, okay? And you do not personally believe that your Bible your religion, your values, okay, lead you to want to enslave people. That your Bible, your religion, your values lead you to want to be a bad person. Your Bible, your religion, your values lead you to want to beat people. Your Bible, your religion, your values lead you to want to, think that genocide's okay. That's what matters, okay? These debates are not exclusive to the Quran. These debates are not exclusive to the Bible. These debates are not exclusive to the Talmud. These debates are inclusive of all major religions, okay? Where people who are not a member of that religion will posit that there's some scripture that is on its face immoral to a believer of that religion that will then give a counter argument against that notion. So when you attempt to single out Islam and say that, well, we shouldn't allow any Muslims to come into this country because you
Never
believe
said
you have
that.
an interpretation of the Quran and their hadiths that make it incredibly immoral, and all true Muslims have to follow that. Dude, okay, well, that is exactly what a Muslim could say about the Bible. That's exactly what an atheist or a secularist could say about the Bible, Quran, and the Torah. So, I mean, it's honestly just, it's astoundingly dumb to be Islamophobic for that reason.
Hey, first of all, in the Quran, the with the difference between the Hadith and 268, this
He still's not getting it. He's too dumb to get my point. Give an argument for why you think that Trump is a good president. Listen, I was being really kind to you there. I was like trying just to describe to you insofar as like why what you're saying actually justifies my point. And then you just continue to miss the point time and time and time again. And now you just want to continue. And then you are going to reprove it by once again giving the argument against some verses in the Quran. And then you'll maybe hear from me why that's about interpretation. You'll hear from some Muslims why that's about interpretation. Like, okay, just give us an argument for why you think Trump is a good president. Because obviously you just are not like tuned in enough to understand the first argument I provided.
I think you're missing the main point here.
The point of this live is, why do you support Trump as president? I elected to detour to try to get you to stop being Islamophobic. And in that detour, I described to you in great clarity why it is the case that you are just completely missing the point and you should open your eyes to see the broader truth. But that's not happening. So please, at this point in time, I'm going to ask you to just give an argument why you believe Trump is a good president. Either move on or I'm going to kick you.
Okay, well, obviously you don't want me to talk about what I want to talk about. You don't let me give my response. I have to respond the way you want me to respond. Then you'll talk to me. Is that how this works?
If what you want to talk about is something other than the thesis of this live, yes, I don't want you to talk about it on this live. I want you to talk about why you support Trump as president.
Yeah.
One second. You were interrupting me there, which is exactly, by the way, why I've muted you at times before. But yes, if what you want to talk to me about does not fall under this thesis of why you support Trump as president, I'm not going to talk to you about it. Yeah. So at this point in time, either give an argument for... Nope, you're still interrupting me. Jonathan, you were complaining about the mutes, okay, not just a minute ago. It is a consequence of your own actions. It's a consequence of your own fucking actions, dude. Don't interrupt me and you won't be muted. Just at this point in time, I want to get this point across so we know what we're doing here. Don't interrupt me. It's very important. Concentrate, Justin. Concentrate. Give an argument for why you believe Trump is a good president, or I'm going to move on.
Once again, why I should vote for Donald Trump is because I'm a Christian. That's why. Can we talk about that? Or am I allowed to talk about that in Dean's life?
Why should Christians vote for Trump?
Well, first of all, I'll ask you a question, Dean. What is a woman?
I'll happily answer your question after you answer mine.
Well, the reason why I vote for Donald Trump is because he says what a woman is, and men like you cannot. The liberals, they cannot answer the simple question.
Okay,
that's
so
why.
Your argument seriously that you support Trump as president because he thinks a woman is an adult human female.
That's one of the reasons why, but go ahead, answer me the question, then we'll start from there.
For sure.
What is a woman?
See, the thing is if I answer that question of giving you my definition of the word woman at this point in the debate, well, then all of a sudden we're having a debate about what a woman is and if trans women are women instead of having a debate about why you support Trump. Okay, I promise, okay, before you leave, I will happily give you my definition of the word woman. I've given it to many people that have joined the live before. I certainly have one. I used to do debates solely surrounding trans identity, okay? But I want to focus at this moment in time on why you support Trump as president. I want to get your reasons so then I can combat them and describe to you why I think you're wrong. And if in me describing to you why I think that you're wrong would relevantly necessitate me defining the word woman, I certainly will. But if it does not relevantly necessitate me defining the word woman, I may not. I guess we'll just have to see, because once again, the thesis of this live is Trump a good president? Should we support him as president? Not are trans women women, not are trans women men. sorry, trans men. But you've given me one reason insofar as why you support Trump as president. You said because he knows what a woman is. You said that you have other reasons. Would you like to go over those two?
So 2 reasons you don't want me to talk about that. So you want me to pick another reason?
No, I'm not saying that I don't want you to talk about that. I will happily talk to you about the fact that you support Trump because he knows what a woman is. But you did say that you have other reasons. I want to talk to you about them all because I mean, I'd assume that defining a woman as an adult human female is not the only reason why you support Trump as president.
Okay, so the first reason why is when I have two sides, when I have Republicans and Democrats, and one side says that men are men and women are women, then I go, okay, that's just the first common sense one right there, because that alone can cause a lot of problems in science and also the rights of women in women's sports, when they get overtaken by a man that's stronger than them who says he's a woman. It's just not fair for them. So the first thing I would say, what seems more logical? What seems more common sense? Should I go with the side that says a man could just become a woman whenever he feels like it and thinks like that? Or should I go with the side that specifically says a woman is a woman? So the first question I ask every liberal, and most of them can't answer the question, is what is a woman?
Yeah, I've answered that question on the live stream many times before. So I got your first reason down. The first reason why you support Trump is because you think that Trump knows what a woman is, and this is like valuable and important to you because you think that it concerns women's rights, science, and not to mention you think that it's more common sense / logical. So is that the only reason that you have to support Trump? Because earlier you indicated that you have more.
Let's start with that, and then we'll go to the next one. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Super easy. I think that if you're concerned with women's rights, that you'd never vote for Trump a day in your life, considering the fact that a court has held him civilly liable for raping a woman. He's publicly boasted about following women into their dressing rooms to look at them while they're naked, infringing upon their human rights to bodily autonomy. And then B, not to mention that he's actually directly infringed on the human rights of millions of women in this country by advocating for Roe v. Wade to be overturned, advocating for the right to access abortion to be sent back down to the state level, which has now ended in the conclusion of 60 pregnant women who were impregnated as the conclusion of rape to be denied access to abortion in 10 of our 50 states every 24 hours like clockwork. I mean, not to mention his attack on other forms of women, like what about undocumented women that he's, either illegally detaining, then illegally deporting with no due process to be tortured and CCOT, what about them? They're still fucking women. Or, what about Renee Good? She was a woman that was murdered by an ICE agent in broad daylight. Donald Trump then turned around and said, oh, well, she was a domestic terrorists, or what about the many women and girls that would fall into the 10 million low-income Americans that Donald Trump took their access to healthcare away from, when we already have 40 through 60,000 women dying, Americans dying every single year via lack of access to healthcare, or like the many women that Donald Trump cut off of food stamps. It's like I actually find the easiest way to address the whole, well, I support Trump because he doesn't think trans women are women argument to be, well, okay, I don't even need to give you my argument insofar as why I disagree with you. I don't even need to give you my argument insofar as why I don't really think it's too wrong for trans women to be in women's sports. Because at the end of the day, still yet, there is an overwhelming amount of harm being caused onto American women and girls by the Trump administration that even if I were to, for the intents and purposes of this discussion, concede, okay, that there's a small amount of harm at being perpetuated by like the 17 trans women inside of the NCAA, okay, it's just simply outweighed. What's your response?
Once again, you just give a big list of accusations against Trump's past. And we can both do that. Let's say there's two guys that we want to vote for, and we look at both their criminal records, and we're like, oh, well, one side's going to say this guy's done a bunch of evil, and the other side says this guy's going to do a bunch of evil. Well, I go, okay, well, I get both you guys have bad records, because we could both go back and forth with that. But what I really look at is, okay, when one guy specifically says that a woman is a woman and a man is a man, and then the other guy says there's like unlimited genders, I go, they both have bad records because no one's perfect. Everybody has sinned. And I'm pretty sure you can find a lot of dirt on Biden and Harris. So looking at people's dirt, we can go down a rabbit hole on both those sides, and we don't know which ones are true or not. We can go back and forth. This is true. No, it's not. Yes, it's true. So I'm not going to go based off of somebody's...
Wait. You're saying if a topic is debatable, okay, then you wouldn't side with either side. Okay, well, the topic of what the definition of the word woman is debatable. Therefore, you shouldn't side with either side. Let's have a fucking debate, right? Okay, and then also you're just talking about like dirt on the past. So first and foremost, I'd say that Donald Trump definitely has a significantly worse character than anybody who he's ever run against, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, or Kamala Harris. But on top of that, you understand that these facts of his character are directly relevant to a reason why he's a bad president today.
If he has a bad character, why would he support women now? when Biden does not. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's funny that you assume that he supports women. So your argument is that Donald Trump
If he
supports women.
says,
Okay,
he
Jonathan, you're cutting me
specifically
off.
says that men cannot go in women's sports. He's supporting women who cried to lose their gold medals in the Olympics. He's
Okay,
supporting the women.
so I don't think that Donald Trump supports women. I don't think that saying trans women shouldn't be able to compete inside of women's sports is supporting women. And I don't think that he means that to keep men out of women's spaces. So I'd like to clarify. I think that trans women are women. But even if I operate under the principle that trans women are men, I know that Donald Trump does not care about men going into private women's spaces, because guess what? In 2005, he found it funny to boast about he himself walking into the private dressing rooms of the women and girls at Miss Teen USA, Miss USA to look at them while they were naked. All right. And this is directly relevant to why I don't think that he's a good president today. And it's also directly relevant to why specifically I don't think that he's a good president for women or girls today. Okay. If he has this track record of consistently brushing off the desires and interests of women for the totality of his life, okay, right? You know, hitting on a 10-year-old, raping aging Carol, sexually exploiting these women and girls, saying the best thing that could ever happen to a woman is pregnancy, sexualizing his own daughter, so on and so forth. I mean, I could go on for a mile too. Then inevitably, then why would he start caring about them the moment he gains control over the access to the, control over the office of the presidency? And more so, I'd posit the reason why, you know, he'll virtue signal and say, well, I don't think that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, is because, well, that's what the RNC spent $300 million on prior to the 2024 election cycle to get you to forget about the economy, to get you to forget about human rights, to get you to forget about complex geopolitical failures at the behest of the Trump administration, to get you to forget about his own delusion and incompetence by like suggesting that UN and NATO are the enemies, to get you to forget about the fact that he wants to take the purchasing power away from the low and middle class and then redistribute it back to the 1%, to get you to forget about the fact, okay, that he disobeyed a court order to feed 16 million starving Americans. And most definitely to get you to forget about the fact that he said he'd release the Epstein files, and now today's actively defying Congress and breaking federal law by not releasing the Epstein files.
Keep muting me.
It is an over focus, because you're interrupting me, on trans Americans, okay? Less than 1% of our population, to get you to act like a drooly toddler watching Cocomelon on your mom's sticky iPad to distract you away from the fucking real issues, okay? Because every single time we have a catastrophe unfolding in front of our eyes. Right now, that catastrophe would be them refusing to release the Epstein files, protecting the rapists and predators of women and girls, by the way, or the threat of an invasion of Greenland.
You're going
Well,
off
then he
on a
just
big
kind of goes
tangent
back
right
to
now,
the
dude.
basis of,
You're going
well,
off on
oh, but guess what? Trans women are the devil. So I hope that sufficiently explains, A, why he's bad for women and girls, and B, why he doesn't really care about women and girls.
Okay, let's get back to the topic, because you just go on for a long time. So once again, do you
Try to keep it
believe,
under 1 minute.
Dean, do you believe that it's okay for men to join women's sports as long as they say they're women?
So you're going to ignore my first,
Yes
second,
or
third,
no?
fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh,
Yes or no,
8th,
Dean?
9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th,
Yes or
16th,
no, Dean?
17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th point. You know what I think is true? I think that it's, you know that you're losing this debate, or else you wouldn't be, you know, literally pivoting and ignoring around every single point that I made. I mean, you said it yourself. I spoke at length and gave great nuance insofar as the specific reasons why Donald Trump doesn't care about women and girls. You said it yourself. I spoke at great length and gave specific reasons insofar as why the overwhelming concerns of the Trump administration destroying this country on the global stage and here at home in America were definitely overwhelmed, you know, saying that trans women aren't women. And because you can't respond to any of the facts in which I shared with you, you're now just ignoring it all, then it's to answer me that question. And yes, by the way, Jonathan, I will absolutely be ignoring that question 110%. Why? Because I believe in a linear dialogue. And inside a linear dialogue, I believe that we go point by point, topic by topic. And at this point in time, by asking me, Dean, do I believe that trans women should be able to compete in the NCAA, compete in women's sports, would serve as a deflection away from like the last 30 points that I gave in response to your position as a whole.
Dean. It's very important. People in the chat want to know what you believe.
Okay.
Do you
well,
think it's
then,
okay for
make sure to ask that
trans women
question
to join?
as it would relate
That's
to
the
a
question,
linear
Dean.
dialogue after you respond to
That's
all the
why
points
I
I just
voted for
made.
Trump, because of guys like you. That's why I voted for Trump. So tell me once again, Dean, is it okay for a man to join women's sports?
I understand that you've now asked it 3 times. My answer is not going to change. I'm not going to answer that until you respond to the last 30 objections I gave you to your argument.
You don't give me a straight answer, Dean.
I'm giving you an incredibly straight answer. I will respond to your question after you respond to the last 30 objections I gave to your argument.
So you support women joining men's sports? I mean, men joining women's sports?
You're
Yes
just
or no?
asking the question for a fifth time. I will happily answer your question and debate you on trans women and women's sports after you respond to the last 30 objections that I gave to your argument.
I didn't write down your 30 objections because you go on for a long time
Want me to
ranting.
repeat them?
I try to dissect like each point by point, and you just start going off.
Okay. Do you want me to condense and repeat them?
Let's slow it down here. Once again, do you believe that a trans woman can join sports and fight in boxing against a woman and knock her out? Do you think that's okay?
It's kind of like a petulant child. I remember being like 4 years old and like begging my parents to get me this toy.
You're running, man.
And I'd ask them, and then they'd say no.
He's running.
Then I'd ask them again, and then
Running,
they'd say
running,
no
running.
again. And I'd ask them again. Okay, accuse me of running once I'm done speaking. And then they say no again. And I thought, you know, because of my immaturity, that if I just kept asking the same question, like eventually I'd get a different answer. I'd like to clarify here, man. Regardless of the amount of times that you ask the question, you are not going to get a different answer. This is honestly really pathetic for you. I'll just repeat the answer, honestly. So inside of linear dialogue, it is important to dissect each point for its validity. And the reason why I am opting to ignore your question, okay, for now, is because you have not dissected the last 30 arguments I've given you against your position for their validity. Now, you did add on there at the end that you didn't really write them down. You didn't really like track them. Now, if you want me to repeat them and try to condense them, that's something that I'm more than willing to do. And obviously the reason why like you don't see me hot and flustered, the reason why you don't see me getting like angry is because I know that it's like obviously the case to everybody watching this live that you're just ignoring and deflecting away from all the counter objections that I gave you.
I'm not deflecting anything, man.
Yes,
Same
you
question
are.
from
I could justify that you are. At this point in time, I'm now going to justify that you're deflecting.
What is a woman?
You gave your argument insofar as why you support Trump. I gave you 30 reasons why your argument is false. And instead of responding to the 30 reasons I gave you insofar as why your argument is false, you now just want to ask me what a woman is. The good old CK tactic. Guess what, dude? It's not working. You know, like I'm not a dumbass. Neither are most of the viewers. We could all see right through it. You're obviously trying to ask me what a woman is, so you do not have to respond to the 30 counter objections that I gave you to your argument. Now,
You didn't do counter. You changed the topic with 30
I did
other
not
topics.
change the topic by giving you counter arguments to your position.
What is a woman, Mr. Smart Dean?
At what point do we just kick him? Like I'm going to say it again. I want you to first respond to the first 30 counter arguments I gave to your position.
I don't remember all 30, but give me one.
Okay, then I'll happily repeat them. That's super fine.
I'm not going to remember all 30, but just give me one. Let's slow it down and just give me one here.
Okay.
Because when I give you one question and you start talking about 30 other things, we're kind of avoiding. That's not a real debate. A debate is you do each topic one by one. I don't know if you've ever been in a real debate where you can't mute people.
That's
how it
really
is.
ironic, Jonathan. If a real debate is going one topic at a time, then why did you try to jump to a second topic of what my definition of the word woman is to deflect away from the 30 counter arguments I gave against your argument for the first topic, you idiot?
When I first got on here, you asked me the question, why do I vote for Trump?
Yes, and then you
And
said I have
gave
it
you
witten down. The argument that you gave is that you support
gave you
Trump
a
because he
specific
knows what a
reason
woman
why.
is, and this concerns women's rights and science, not to mention
And
you think that it's
avoided
more
that
like
question.
logical.
And you avoided that question. And then
No,
you said
I did
you
not
don't-
avoid your argument whatsoever. You're just delusional.
You still haven't given me the answer. What is a woman?
Real quick, the chat can't hear you.
specifically
Can you mute your mic, then unmute your mic, please?
Can you hear me?
Did you do it? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. I lost the ability to mute you because it glitched out. So thank you for giving me the ability to mute you again. But anyways, sure. I'll just go ahead and like re-give you those responses. So you said that you support Trump because he knows what a woman is, and this concerns women's rights, science, and not to mention that you think it's more logical. Okay, well, first and foremost, I would argue here that you should be focused more on material impact compared to baseless virtue signaling. Just because Donald Trump says that he cares about women does not mean that the material impact of his governance is benefiting women. In fact, we see that the material impact of his governance is doing the opposite by rather really harming women. And this is harm that you should really care about. You have made your whole fucking personality the harm that you believe exists when 17 trans women compete inside of the NCAA. Where is that same energy for the 25 women that have credibly accused Donald Trump of rape? Where is that same energy for E. Jean Carroll, who's able to prove in a court of law that he raped her? Where is that same energy for the multiple women and girls that he walked into while they were changing at Miss Teen USA to look at while they're naked? Where's that same energy for the 700 through 1,200 victims and now survivors of Epstein and Associates that Donald Trump is protecting and covering up for, to the extent that he's willing to defy Congress and break federal law to not release the Epstein files? That's 50% of the first point. The second 50% of the first point is that, well, the material impact of the Trump administration is hurting women. What about the undocumented women that are being illegally sent for torture in CCOT? What about the American women like Renee Good that are being murdered in broad daylight and addressed as a domestic terrorist by him? What about the American women that had either their health insurance taken by him, totaling around 5 million, or the American women that are still on health insurance through the ACA that are now having to pay 300 times more per month, okay, because he let the ACA subsidy expire? Or the 60 American women per day that are raped, impregnated, then denied access to abortion in 10 of our 50 states because he overturned Roe v. Wade, or the other 66 million American women and girls that don't have access to abortion in elective circumstances in around 40 of our states. Or, all right, the over 80 million women and girls, okay, that now have less purchasing power this year than they did last year because of the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities indicates us that the Big Beautiful Bill reduces the purchasing power of over half of America. That's the point that I'd like you to address, and that's the point that I'd like you to respond to. For everyone watching at home, I'm talking left, right, and center. I'm talking MAGA, independent, and liberal. The reason why he has continued to not address this argument by rather claiming ignorance of what the argument is, or attempting to ask me if I think trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, or if trans women are women at all, is a use of a form of a deflection away from the great argument every single one of you just heard me describe. My counter-argument obviously triumphs his original position.
Can I talk now?
That's why he wants to ignore it.
Are you going to keep going for like 10 minutes, or can I talk now?
I'm done. You can go.
Okay. So, once again, just like if I were to sit back, let's say I'm not a Democrat or Republican. Let's say I were to sit back and I see a Republican guy on the left, Democrat guy on the right, and I'm like, okay, why should I vote for these guys? And the one guy says, I'm sorry?
You're stun locked.
Wait, what?
Like, you're stun locked in the sense that you like know that you're done. You know that you can't respond to the argument that I gave you.
No, this is my response. Because so if I'm a guy and I'm sitting back, I'm looking at a Republican, a Democrat, okay, and then a Democrat guy, he says, hey, you should not vote for the Republican guy because he did all these bad things. And that's like, of course, the Democrats are going to say that the Republicans did a bunch of evil stuff. And then it would be the total opposite. If I go on Fox News, they're going to say that Harris and Biden are a bunch of evil, pedophiles and whatever, yada yada. And you can find videos and all that on both sides. So here's the thing. So I would sit back and say, okay, look, they're both shooting shots at one another. But I'm going to sit back and I'm going to say, okay, let me just look back at what the policies that they are passing. Okay, now first of all, the first thing I look at is common sense. On the Republican side, I hear them say there are only two genders, male and female. Okay, duh. Why would they even have to say that? And then I look at the guys on the left, the Democrats, and they say, oh, there's a bunch of genders. You could be whatever you want. And then more than that, we're going to let these guys who pretend to be women get in women's sports.
I don't think that he's smart enough for this debate.
Hold on. And then I actually see on TV, I see men.
He's so fucking stun locked.
Knocking out.
He's actually stun locked.
You see these men punching women in professional boxing. Making these women cry.
He's actually stun locked. I'm making you cry. I'm making you cry. Chat, he's actually stun locked. He can't respond to a single word of it. He can't respond to a single word of my argument. Dude, this is embarrassing for you. This is funny as fuck. This is great. I'm enjoying, dude. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me joy.
Why do you keep muting me? If I'm so bad, why do you keep muting me?
Well, I muted you because I just had to like cut it off, dude. I mean, obviously you're not responding to my argument. You're just wasting my time. So, do you want to like continue to waste my time or just respond to
false accusations against the man? But the rules that he sets in place are
like. Oh, well, actually, so not only in my not only in my statement did I go over not only the true accusations that have been proven in court against Donald Trump, but also the things that he's admitted to, and the rules that he's been putting in place. Like the last 50% of the argument, okay, that you're completely evading and ignoring right now, literally centered around the rules that he's putting in place and the policy that he's passed and the material harm that it's yielding for American women and girls. You are stun locked because you can't respond to a word of it. This is embarrassing for you, like legitimately. It's like, dude, I think that you need to reconsider this whole debate thing because it's obviously not for you.
If you take away women's rights, women's rights by saying that a man could be a woman,
and you don't get it because I demonstrated to you not only how Donald Trump has been taking away the rights of not just 17 women inside of the the NCAA in accordance with your view, but the rights of 66 million American women as it would relate to healthcare, the rights of 60 great victims per day as it would relate to human rights, as it would relate to the purchasing power of 85 million American women, as it would relate to the human rights of like 500,000 undocumented women in the last year alone. Okay, but you can't respond to any of those things, dude. There's not a single one of those things that you could respond to. This is an abysmal embarrassment for you.
Hold, you just said something. You said that he affected a bunch of undocumented women. Where'd you get that info from?
Well, I don't know, maybe the 1.3 million deportations, with 30% of the deportations being done on undocumented immigrants with no prior criminal convictions outside of undocumented entry.
How do you know if it's undocumented, Mr. Dean?
ICE.gov/statistics.
Oh, you Googled it. You Googled it.
I typically do use sources to know
Okay,
things.
so you so explain it to me. Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. What are these? Explain these women to me. Explain it to me.
Oh, you used evidence for it. What the fuck are you saying?
You said undocumented women. You said undocumented women. Explain that to me.
Like, you want to know what an undocumented woman is?
Tell me what that means. Explain it to me. How are they affected by Trump?
How are undocumented women affected by Trump? Well, they're unjustly deported under terrible scenarios.
You're just throwing out a bunch of numbers out there. So stop on one and explain it to me. How did he affect them specifically?
Sure. Well, I mean, we'll just pick like a random undocumented woman that he deported. Okay, all right. He's also been deporting a lot of people to Sica and El Salvador. So first and foremost, the way that these undocumented women are being unjustly treated are first just mass deportation as a whole is wrong. Okay, it's bad for them. It doesn't benefit them. It removes them from their home. It removes them from their community. It removes them from access to the
Let's stop right there real quick. So you're saying
and it's bad for this country because in removing them from their home, in removing them from their community, we're also destroying our own economy, increasing our own crime rates, increasing our own poverty, hurting our own job market. So it's not beneficial for anyone. Yeah.
You said by us deporting immigrants is affecting our crime? Making our crime worse by deporting them?
Yeah.
How's that?
Well,
explain it to me.
I mean, just statistically on paper, because they're 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes on American soil compared to American citizens. When you remove them from the demographic, crime rates go up with no material change in crime. But then B, I believe that nominal crime rates are likely to have a propensity to increase following deportation because of the economic destabilizing effects that it would have on the socioeconomic standard of the average American, which would likely increase poverty. And because a lot of crime is a result of poverty, we'd naturally expect
Do you not know that all the cartels bringing all the drugs from Mexico, that's our main source of drugs in our American streets? Did you not know that?
Do you not know that 80% of the drugs that are brought into this country are brought in by citizens, once again, according to DHS, and that I'm specifically talking about, once again, the undocumented immigrants without prior criminal offenses on their record?
You just said it yourself. They're brought in. Where are they brought from?
Where they brought from? Various countries all around the world.
Where's the main one, Dean? You should know this.
It depends on the drug.
Pick one.
Sure.
Pick one. What's the newest one?
There is a lot of, let's see, MDRUG that came from Venezuela.
Venezuela, also Mexico, the cartel. Yeah, right here in California,
man. So cartels definitely do bring some DRUGS into the country. It's true.
Yeah. And even in other countries, they say that they're being tortured and killed by the cartel. So you got people coming here running from the cartel, but they also have the cartel coming in with them, pretending to be the husbands and wives. So how do you filter them out? How do you know who's who when the cartel pretending to be husbands? What do you do, Dean? In this situation,
how do we filter people out?
Yeah, how do you do it, Dean? Like, if you're president, Dean, and you know that there's cartel coming into America,
like hopefully using like the same means that we'd use for vetting through legal immigration, right? Like I believe in mass amnesty, which would include a vetting process.
Okay, look, do you believe that immigrants should have the right to vote with no ID? Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think that like all citizens should have the right to vote.
But what if you're not a citizen? Should you have the right to vote?
I mean, I think that you should have to be a citizen. Like maybe like limited circumstances, if like you are like a permanent resident working towards citizenship, like I may be okay with it in that scenario. But like for the 99.999% of the scenarios, yes, you got to be a citizen. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but from the Republican side, we're hearing that the Democrats are saying that all these guys, the people coming illegally, that they're giving them rights that they can vote. Did you know that?
Okay, well, once again, A, that's not true, and B, another pivot. Like, you're doing the same thing that you did with
This
the
is
first
not
topic.
a pivot. This is very, very important.
Yeah,
Dean.
you did.
Dean,
Wait. If you give me the mic, I'll explain how it's a pivot. One second. If you give me the mic, I'll explain clearly how it's a pivot.
Go ahead. Explain.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the explanation that you're clearly engaging in a pivot is a fact that I made the claim that when we do deportations, it hurts our own country significantly and increases crime. You said, Dean, how so? I told you
No,
how
that's
so.
not.
And now
But it's
you're
not-
and now
it's not
instead of
true.
like
It's the opposite,
oh,
Dean.
exactly. So I know that you still disagree with my conclusion there. So the proper way to channel this conversation in a debate would be to hear why you disagree with the conclusion I formed, predicated on the evidence that I gave,
Dean, it's
instead
very,
of
very simple,
no, one
Dean,
moment.
because the cartel is-
No. Instead of attempting to like pivot into this new topic of, well, are democratic states giving undocumented immigrants the right to vote?
Dean, that you don't understand.
This guy's dumb as
The
hell.
cartel is actually coming into America from Mexico. Those are the guys that are catching in the street and deporting them. The videos that you see, these guys being deported, these guys are the cartel, and then they say, oh, they're deporting innocent families. These guys are the cartel criminals, sex offenders. And then they say, oh, that's not right, they shouldn't deport them. They're deporting the criminals. So my question to you, Dean,
30% of the undocumented immigrants deported so far under the Trump administration have had no criminal record.
that's not true, Dean. That's according to the Democrat fake side.
No, that's
not
actually
true, man.
according to Homeland Security.
No, that's not Homeland. Come on, dude. You know
Yes.
Homeland Security? Nobody
Yes.
can get Homeland Security, man. Come on, dude.
Yes, it's
Nobody
called going
can
to ice.gov/statistics.
Why is there videos?
One second.
of the
Can you just
Border
address the
Patrol?
fact that ice.gov/statistics
No.
says
Why
that
is there
that's true?
No.
No. Respond to that.
ICE,
Don't run.
there's no way ICE
Don't
would
run,
say
buddy.
that, Dean.
Don't run,
Dean,
buddy.
there's no way
By
I-
the way, that's why I gave you the 30% figure. I personally think that it's a lot higher. I think that the amount of undocumented immigrants with no criminal record that are being deported would account for like 50 to 60% of all deportations. But I took the number
You're giving
from
false- you're giving false
ice.gov
numbers.
so you couldn't make this argument. Address the fact, okay, that only
Dean, you're making false arguments, bro.
30%, okay, address the fact that 30%
Sex
of the
offenders, bro.
undocumented immigrants that have been deported have had no criminal record. And that is being given to us by ice.gov. Don't run.
Hold on a minute. Is being an immigrant a criminal to begin with?
No.
So you can come here illegally, and it's not a crime.
Yeah, for the most part, it doesn't go on your criminal record as it's prosecuted in civil courts.
So first of all, Dean, what you first believe, which you make my point even stronger why I voted for Donald Trump, you think it's okay for people to come here and not become a citizen, break our laws, do whatever they want.
Bro, dude, all
and then
that I
when they
listen,
get-
all
and
that
then
I
when they
said,
get caught-
you're being
hold
very
on.
disingenuous. I'm just backing up my descriptive. I said it's descriptively true that 30% of undocumented immigrants who have been deported, okay, have no access, okay, who don't have any criminal record. And then you were like, well, Dean, how could they have no criminal record if they like committed a federal misdemeanor when they came into this country? Which is, by the way, a super fair question. And I just gave you the legitimate response. It's because when mass deportation is prosecuted, for the most part, it's not being prosecuted in criminal courts, so it then goes on their criminal records, because it's rather being prosecuted inside of civil courts. Like, I don't understand why you're trying to
Okay, Dean,
extrapolate
if
and like
somebody- if
strawman my
somebody comes to
position
a
by just
country-
giving you that like descriptively true evaluation. And by the way, you still have not answered my question. Okay, you said that you dispute the fact that 30% of undocumented immigrants who have been deported have had no criminal record. Okay, so please tell me why, given the fact that that's what's being reported on by ice.gov.
Because I see the complete opposite all over the news, man. The
Okay,
complete
so
opposite.
then give a source.
Anywhere, YouTube it, Google it, whatever you want to do.
YouTube, Google. So give me a specific source, buddy. You're obviously not corroborating your claim.
Okay, you're in front of a computer. I'm not. That's
I
the
already gave
difference.
you my source that I got from my computer, ice.gov, and you dispute it.
Dean, look. Here's the point. You're
No,
missing
don't
the-
run.
If somebody
Don't
comes here-
run!
I'm
Don't
not
run!
running.
Don't run!
If
Don't run,
somebody
buddy!
comes here
Don't run, buddy! Don't
If
run!
somebody
No,
comes
you're
here
running!
illegally-
You're running! You're running! You're running!
If
You're
somebody
running!
comes
No,
here
you're running!
illegally, Dean-
Stop running! Don't run! Oh, fuck! By the way, I was wrong. I was wrong. Yo! I totally misread ice.gov. Holy shit. I was so wrong. All right, buddy, you were right. I was wrong. I concede. I was wrong. When I told you that only 30% of undocumented immigrants have no criminal record that have been getting deported, I was wrong. It's those are the amount of undocumented immigrants that have been deported with criminal convictions. 73% of undocumented immigrants deported have been ones with no criminal convictions on their record.
Where are you getting that from?
Yeah, for sure. Go on Google, type in Cato Institute, new data prove DHS lied about Cato report. And then it goes into the published data pulling from the Department of Homeland Security, showing that 73% of individuals booked into immigration and customs enforcement detention facilities since October 1st, 2025 have no criminal convictions of any kind.
What was that source again?
Cato Institute?
Wait, what?
Cato Institute.
How do you spell that?
CATO Institute. And I guess that you're gonna, oh man, we have to forgo the satisfaction of that guy getting proven wrong. He got a flag for misinfo. Very, very well deserved, by the way. Let's go to get that next guest loaded up in here. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to forgo the satisfaction of seeing him get proven wrong. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. We got the next guest mic loaded up into the box. Oh my God. Dude. Big Foe. Thank you so much for the $400 on Super Chat. My God. Big Foe. Holy shit. Dude, you are the GOAT. Jesus Christ, Big Foe. I'm going to need every single person watching to show some goddamn love to Big Foe, like at once. Big Foe, seriously, man. Thank you so much for I'm sorry, I'm like stuttering, I'm losing my mind over here. Thank you. Thank you. Like 1 billion and 2 times over to the goddamn moon and back. Thank you so fucking much for the love. That is insane. I simply do not deserve that much money. That is like so nuts, dude. Oh my God. Big Foe. Thank you. If we could please get at least 10,000 big FOE Foe W's in the live chat, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for the love, my friend. Thank you. As well as Lisa. Thank you for the $20. She says, absolutely despicable. These people amaze and scare me at the same time. Yeah, last guess. He sucked a lot. Show some love to Lisa and Big Foe. And seriously, Big Foe. I mean, dude, just holy shit. I don't know why so many of you guys have chosen to show so much love to me. You know, it's like, I get it. You know, like you like the content. Maybe you agree with me. And I'm so fucking grateful for that. But it's like just to take that next step to then be like, here, I like your content so much. Here's $400. I don't get it. And I will forever be so fucking grateful for it. Thank you so much. Show some love to the legend of the hour, Big Foe. Let's catch up with a couple others and we'll move on to the next guest. Mark, thank you for the $10. Who says, can you please ask this guest to stop wanting to come up onto your live stream because I feel so bad for him every time you cook him? Yeah, we cook his ass. Thank you for the $10, Mark. And then Jessica, thank you for the $10 as well. He says, thou shalt not judge. Don't condemn others hypocritically. Instead, examine your own faults first. One thing almost all Christians fail at. Yeah, that guy was definitely not walking in Jesus' footsteps. And then Ben, thank you so much for the $25 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Ben. Ben, I hope that you're doing all right today, my friend. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Let's get 300 Ben W's. Good to see you again. And then Christina, thank you so much for the $30 on Venmo. And Rachel, thank you for the meteor shower. Let's get 300 Christina W's. That is Christina with a K. Christina with a big 30 says, Dean, thank you for bringing awareness. I've been binge watching a lot of your YouTube videos, and it is so refreshing. I may have missed it, but I haven't seen you talk about ICE yet. Can you please give a brief overview of how you feel during this difficult time? Well, we've actually been talking about ICE a whole lot on the streams. My synopsis is that we just need to get rid of ICE. They need to go. Now, I understand that like in a better world where we have like proper border policy and any good person who wants to become a legal immigrant will have that pathway, and there'll just be no incentive for undocumented entry for good people left, and we'll still maybe have some undocumented immigrants, that it may like still be important to have like some type of a governmental fixture to identify and detain and arrest, either throw in jail or to deport them, okay, if they have those violent crimes on their record. But I mean, I think that we should just get rid of ICE and do a whole fucking rebrand. Okay, a whole rebrand, whole new thing, whole new policies, whole new department. Just because of the horrors that we've seen from ICE, it'd just be unconstructive. And honestly, a really big fuck you to Renee Good, big fuck you to Abrigo Garcia, and a big fuck you to Keith Porter, alongside a billion other people, to keep it under the same name. So thank you so much for the $30, Christine, and I hope that those thoughts are sufficient. And then Ben, thank you for the $10 who says, cooked you a full meal. And you asked me about the menu next door. Appreciate you for that love, Ben. And then Ivy, thank you so much for the $25 over on Venmo, who says, why can't people understand that gender is a social construct? Yes, that is true. I think that Christians should be really able to understand this, considering the fact that they view God the Father as a man, but he has no biology. Like, gender's been a social construct for eons, dude. Thank you for the $25, Ivy. That is IVEY. Show some love to Ivy. And then Kaylee, thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo. Show some love to Kaylee. Thank you. Then Catherine, thank you for the $10. She says, thoughts on today's White House press conference with Dementia Donnie? Oh, he's just losing his damn marbles. We need to get this out of office. Super embarrassing. And then Jeffrey, thank you so much for the $10. And then, hey, and thank you for the 5. It looks like we're all caught up over there on Venmo. Let's quickly catch up on PayPal too, super duper quickly. Arlene, thank you so much for the $25 on PayPal. Let's get 300 Arlene W's. Arlene says, my monthly donation. I thank you for keeping me company on my road trip from South Carolina to visit ... the monks. Well, I'm happy that I could keep you company, and I hope that it helps the time fly. Thank you so much for the $25, Arlene. And then Katrina, thank you so much for the $20, who says the best way to shut down the Mormons, like the quote-unquote a man can't become a woman guy, is morons, sorry, not Mormons, is to point out the scientific fact that there's a difference between biological sex and gender identity who's insufferable. Yeah, they typically equivocate between what they mean with the word man or woman when saying that a man can't become a woman. And then Pamela, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. He says, Dean, I'm old enough to be your granny, and I just want to adopt you. Keep cooking those MAGA fish, son. Oh, thank you so much for the love, Pamela. God, let me tell you, there's a handful of old men and old women who are just so incredibly kind, who drop those donations. Love y'all. As well as DD, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, DD. Didi with the $20 says, thank you for all that you do. I'm not sure if you're already aware about the Xiao Feng Ji case. ICE ruled it was a suicide, but it's been investigated after reports were found that he was hogtied. I will look into that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Didi. And then Carrie, thank you so much for the $100 on PayPal. Carrie with the $100. That is so fucking kind of you. Carrie says, Dean, have been watching daily since I joined TikTok about 5 months. I like to send a little something a few times a month. Keep educating the uneducated when possible. And love and light to you, your girlfriend and Momo. From Nurse Carrie. Carrie, you are a gem. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the $100. That is so fucking kind of you. Show some love to Carrie down below. And then Trio, thank you for the $20. She says, on my way to an ICE protest in Minneapolis as a photographer. Any tips? Stay safe. Make sure that you have the fact that your press very, very well advertised. Make sure you're wearing press badges and just stay safe. Please, 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 please. Thank you for the $20. And then Josh with a 5. Miriam, thank you so much for the 5. Then Mallory, thank you for the 14 Canadian dollars. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're watching and you want to support us before we do hop off, we probably have, another guest or two. You can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio. Appreciate you guys so much for the love. All right, let's go to get that next guest up here. Why is the chat spamming? Fuck YF Renee. Were people saying that in the chat? Anyways, let's get that next guest up here. All right, we got Gabe loading up into the box. Here we go. You did?
I love you, Dean.
I misunderstood you. Is this something that I said? Yeah, let me know what I said. Anyways, let's get that next guest loaded up into the box. We got Robin joining in. Let me know what I said. Now I'm worried. What did I say? Apparently, I don't know. Let me know in the Discord. Anyways, welcome in. Do you support Trump? Hello? All right, they're gone. Moving on to the next guest, guys. Only up instead of that queue. You didn't. You didn't. I don't know. Am I being gaslit? Hi, do you support
Hello?
Trump? Hi, do you support Trump?
Yeah,
How old are you?
29 and 14 inches.
Oh, banned because you are a troll. I figured it out. Yes. Okay. I must have like. Yeah, I think I misspoke. I remember what I said. So I was saying that we should abolish ICE, and one of the really big reasons that even if like we still need immigration enforcement, is like the reason that we need to get rid of ICE and just come up with a whole new department with a whole new name is because that'd be a big fuck you to Renee Good. That'd be a good fuck you to Keith Porter. That'd be a fuck you to all the victims of ICE violence. I thought that's what I said, but based upon the crowd consensus of people hearing something totally different, I obviously didn't say that right. So I apologize. Let's go to get that next guest loaded up into the box, guys. Only up inside of the key of Yappa to be MAGA. We got Vault Boy connecting. Hi, do you support Trump?
Yo, what's good, Dean?
What's going on, man? Are you MAGA?
Yes, I'm MAGA.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
And why the hell do you support the worst president of your life, Mr. Trump?
I support Trump because I feel like, the way he's doing deportations with ICE is really helping our country and getting these illegals out. And I feel like people have spread many lies
materially
about it.
benefiting our country?
Huh?
What's one way that mass
What?
deportation is materially making this country better?
He's getting sex offenders out of our country.
Okay.
So a lot of
listen,
these illegals tend to commit crimes.
So no one disagrees with you that it's a good thing to either arrest and throw undocumented sex offenders in jail or to deport them to then land in a jail cell in another country. But obviously that's not an implication that's necessary of mass deportation. We could do deportation/detention of just the undocumented immigrants with the prior violent offenses. But I think that you're quite a hypocrite because apparently if you're an undocumented immigrant and you're a sex offender, get the hell out. But if you're a billionaire white man from New York and you're a sex offender, get the hell into the Oval Office. Of course, I'm referencing the fact that 2 years ago, court found Donald Trump guilty of rape.
Okay, but Dean, also, I just want to ask you a quick question if you remember this. Do you remember saying, from your political point of view, that it was okay to have sex with your cousin? Do you remember saying that?
I know the clip that you're referring to. I haven't watched the clip. I've seen a couple people share it around. I know. I don't think I ever said that it's okay to have sex with your cousin. No. But I think that there is a clip of me like debating like years and years and years ago. And somebody was trying to show me how if I think that it is okay to be gay, then I also have to like permiss incest. And I at the time, I didn't know like a good counter argument to that position. And I didn't want to concede that it was wrong to be gay. So I think that I may have said something vaguely elusive pointing towards the conclusion that incest is okay. But I like to clarify, I've never thought that incest is okay. And I still don't today. I was just a bad debater that didn't know how to respond, got stressed, and bit the bullet. I'm happy I could clarify. So would you like now to respond to the counter argument that I gave you against your position?
Yeah, so mainly what I think you're saying is some nigger ass shit. Stop vaping, Dean, you fucking nigger.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess when Trump supporters lose an argument, they just scream the N-word. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Hey, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
I do.
All right, man. How old are you?
I'm 46.
Are you driving?
If you give me a minute, I can pull over.
Yeah, pull over real quick. Holy shit. Dude. Bro. Simon.
I'm sorry?
No, bro. I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
Simon! Fucking Simon! Thank you! Dude, oh my god. Thank you so fucking much for the $500 donation over on YouTube. What the fuck? What the fuck? SIMEN. Oh my god, dude. Thank you so much for your generosity, Simon. Genuinely and sincerely. From the very bottom of my heart. I am so incredibly grateful for you. Oh my god, dude. Like, y'all just don't get it. Like, $500. Actually, y'all do get it. Everyone gets it. $500. That's like a good chunk of my rent. You know what I mean? That's like covering my electric bill and a bunch of, like, that is so much money, dude. Thank you, dude. I think it's sometimes hard to even like put it into words, if that makes any sense. I'm legitimately so fucking grateful for you. Thank you so much, Simon. It is so undeserved. I mean, y'all heard me say this not even too long ago when we had another just fucking massive donation. It's like, I don't feel any different than I did day one. You know what I mean? It is just a perpetual, never-ending, like just state of like shock at the kindness that so many of y'all have shown me over the years now. Thank you so much, Simon. I want to see, like, genuinely, I want to see 5,000 big ol' Simon W's down below in that chat. Thank you so much, Simon. Dude, show some fucking love to Simon. Let's make sure that we get the spelling right. Simen. Thank you so much. Thank you. And by the way, if your name's not Simon, because I'm seeing two conflicting reports here. I'm seeing Michelle and I'm also seeing Simon. So it is either Simon or Michelle. I don't know which one it is. I really don't know which one it is. Thank you so much. Genuinely. Thank you. And also quickly, I'd like to thank Lean. Thank you so much for the $30 over on PayPal. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lean. That is Leeann. As well as I just read your message. Thank you so much. Some up to Lean down below. What a cool name, by the way. I'm probably mispronouncing it. Thank you so much for the $30, Lean. And then Challenger, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal, who says, I do want to account the cost of Donald Trump's, tariffs. I ordered new gym gear for $170. Shipping from Sweden is 2.25 times my cost of buying the materials. That money could have been used for something else. This is so stupid. Yeah, dude. Honestly, everyone like placing international orders for shit is fucked because of the tariffs. Like, it is fucked. I'm so sorry that you have to experience that. Thank you for the love. As well as Ryan. I'm not going to read your message out loud because that's kind of weird, but thank you for the $15. And then let's see real quick over on Venmo. Patsy, thank you so much for the $30 on Venmo. Huge shout out to you, Patsy. Thank you so much for the love. Patsy with $30 says, keep voicing and educating, supporting you in your lives 100% all day, every day. Thank you so much for the love, Patsy. Show some fucking love to Patsy down below in that comment section. And then Tessa Ashen with a 5, Leanna with a 3, and then Ada with a 2. Thank you, you guys. And welcome in, Parker. How you doing?
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right. However, there has been an unfortunate occurrence. The
What
live
happened?
has now collected 2 hate speech flags. I get another one. We're cooked.
You got to do a restart.
But see, the thing is I've been live for 3 hours and 50 minutes.
So you're just gonna end it?
Yeah. But I'm
This
not
guy,
really
bro.
I'm not really done debating. Would you be down to go live? Like, I'm thinking that like I could just like shoot you a raid and I could hang out for like another 10, 20 minutes, maybe hang out for the first
Yeah.
guest. Right? Because it's like I don't really feel ready to get off. Like, if I was doing this on my own right now, I'd probably be live for like another 40 minutes. But we just like really unfortunately got fucked with the flags. So it's kind of like the only
Dude, I
option
hate
this
when that
time.
happens.
Yeah.
I got you, bro. I got you. I'll try to start it up right now and we'll get going.
Cool. Yeah, I might as well just send the YouTube then too, because I don't even have the setup to get. By the way, I also ordered a Scarlett mix amp.
Oh, let's go. That's nice.
Yeah,
I'll tell you how to do the dual thing so that it doesn't do like the volume on one side.
Yes, I'll have to.
'Cause it does that.
I'll have to talk to you about that. Yeah, that's kind of like the public announcement of the day, folks. Is that buzzing that you guys have heard? That's from my old mix amp. In fact, this shit is so old that they don't even sell it anymore. So I finally got an. John with the $500 over on YouTube super chat.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Oh my god! Dude! I'm over here talking about my goddamn mix amp. Did John fucking Jacobs. He didn't even attach a message. John! Thank you. John, seriously. From the... Dude, holy shit. What is going on? John, I almost... Like, if you didn't mean to send that, just, like, let me know. I'll happily try to find a way to refund it. John, thank you so fucking much. Thank you, like... Thank you so fucking much. Fucking thank you. Thank you. I want to just... Real quick. I just want to recognize this. I want to realize and, state this for the record with all the viewers that we have in here right now. I recognize the position of such fucking grave influence and privilege that I have. Okay? For this conversation, it's more about the privilege. I have seen so many, like, live streamers, people that, sit down and play video games and live stream, kind of complain, say that, oh, it's too hard. Oh, XQC gets the $50,000 donation. He says, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? And it pisses me off. So I just I want to be able to thank you, John, to thank you, Simon, to just thank you guys so much for the love. Well, simultaneously just recognizing here, I recognize the fact that I'm so fucking privileged. I recognize and I'm so fucking grateful for it. Okay, I'm so thankful to every single person, regardless if it is, just a viewer that's enjoyed the debates, taken something positive away, or mine that I've changed, a follower, a liker, etc., so on and so forth. And I am eternally grateful for it. So, John, one last time here, legitimately, thank you so much for the $500, dude. That is just fucking nuts. Wow, thank you so much, John. We are going to go ahead and raid Parker's stream at this point because we have to end the stream that we're on right now because of the flags that we received. And I want y'all to actually raid his stream on TikTok and YouTube by spamming W Johns and W Simons. So instead of doing Dean raids in the chat, we're going to do W Johns and W fucking Simons. But listen, folks, I guess it does mean that we are going to go to an end here. We kind of have to because we got those flags on TikTok. If you want to continue to listen to some debates, I'm going to do maybe one more on Parker's stream. And you want to listen to Parker for the next 4 to 6 hours, head over to @ParkerGetAJob on TikTok, @ParkerGetAJob on YouTube. I love and appreciate you all. And thank you one last time, John. Sincerely. Thank you so much. All right, Parker, I'll see you over there.
All right, I'll see you there.
Peace, 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 peace.
Peace.
All right, guys. Head over to @ParkerGetAJob. I love you all. And thank you one last time. Thank you, John. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, everyone. See you on Parker's in just a minute. @ParkerGetAJob on all platforms. Bye-bye.